Chapter 61. The Power of the Body Integration Realm. There are two types of the most advanced weapons in this world, one is the solar simulation bomb, and the other is the annihilation cannon. The explosion of the solar simulation bomb can generate a temperature of hundreds of millions of degrees, similar to the temperature at the core of a nuclear explosion. Its advantage is that the temperature within the entire explosion range can reach hundreds of millions of degrees. Humans have found that, compared to nuclear radiation, temperature poses a greater threat to ferocious beasts. The annihilation cannon fires an invisible attack that decomposes anything it touches into atomic form. Its drawback is its difficulty to manufacture and large energy consumption. If launched from a distance, the beasts will evade it, so these two types of weapons can only be used at close range. The mechas carry one of these weapons, use the sonic resonance blade to combat weaker beasts, and upon encountering stronger ones, directly detonate the solar simulation bomb or fire the annihilation cannon. Zhongli saw a mecha not far away use a solar simulation bomb. It shone like a sun, and under its radiant glow, the nearby beasts and mecha melted and disappeared, leaving no wreckage behind. With this strategy, humans barely managed to withstand the onslaught of the beasts. However, this kind of attack cannot be used frequently, because the number of beasts is greater than that of mechas, and even under such attacks, there are beasts that still survive. Body Integration Realm Beasts and Divinity Transformation Realm Beasts. Zhongli focused his gaze, seeing a huge beast hopping around after the explosion of the solar simulation bomb. There were a few tenacious beasts that, although on their last breaths, were still alive, posing no immediate threat. A Body Integration Realm Beast rampaged on the battlefield, tearing through any mecha that came in its way. A mecha carrying an annihilation cannon accumulated energy and aimed at the Body Integration Realm Beast, letting off a round. The invisible attack formed, transforming oxygen and carbon dioxide in the air, and any earth it touched, directly into atomic form, into substances like silicon atoms that were invisible to the naked eye. The mecha, having exhausted its energy, could no longer function. However, when the attack struck the Body Integration Realm Beast, it didn't seem to cause any damage. How is this possible? Ming Zhang couldn't believe what he was seeing. How could there be a beast that could withstand both the solar simulation bomb and the annihilation cannon and come out unscathed? This was unprecedented. Quickly, the supercomputer provided the answer, and Ming Zhang's face turned pale. The beasts have evolved again. Clearly, what you've encountered before were Divinity Transformation Realm beasts, while this one is at the Body Integration Realm. Having understood the principles of the two weapons, it wasn't difficult for Zhongli to understand why this beast remained unscathed. What is Body Integration Realm? It is the union of the mind and the will, the man and the way, the body and the form. Once these three are united, they become inseparable, and this defines the Body Integration Realm. The annihilation cannon can annihilate any object into atoms. However, for a Body Integration Realm practitioner, unless it is their own choice, their body and form can't be separated and can withstand the annihilation cannon. Furthermore, Body Integration Realm practitioners possess powerful bodies capable of traversing the universe, resting on the moon, and basking in the burning sun. They will not be harmed by the solar simulation bomb. Ming Zhang was dumbstruck. Previously, Zhongli had merely given a brief introduction to each realm. He hadn't elaborated on their profundities. Ming Zhang had merely assumed the Body Integration Realm might just offer vast physical strength and speed. Who could have thought that in reality, its capabilities were this terrifying? Above the Body Integration Realm, there are still Transcendence Tribulation Stage and Mahayana Realm. Just how strong is Zhongli, Ming Zhang didn't have a clue anymore. Every time he assumed he already understood the full extent of Zhongli's power, he would discover that he only understood a tiny fraction of it. The Body Integration Realm was indeed powerful, but it was also difficult to achieve. Otherwise, Red Dust Pure Land, Peng Lai Fairy Island, scholar sects, none of them even had a practitioner in the Transcendence Tribulation stage. They were still considered as among the 6 major sects and no one dared to challenge their status. Because the quantity of Body Integration Realm practitioners in the other sects was too scarce. Can you understand what I'm saying? Zhongli shouted to the Body Integration Realm beast. Logically, beasts should have an adult human's intellect when they reach the Golden Core stage. However, he had heard Ming Zhang say that the beasts lack any form of intelligence and cannot communicate. Could it be that these beasts are not demonic beasts? The beast did not understand what Zhongli was saying. However, it noticed Zhongli and Ming Zhang floating in the air and lunged towards them. Even if I can't beat Zhongli, I can still beat you. Offended by its behavior, the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal, being the boss among all the immortal artifacts in JoJo, would not tolerate such neglect. It instantly smashed down on the head of the beast, causing its head to spin, and it collapsed on the spot. Having this one at the body integration realm was enough, the others were not valuable. Ming Zhang had given up on understanding anything, anyway, he was completely unable to comprehend Zhang Li's methods, so there was no point worrying about it. As a person, it's most important to treat yourself kindly. Indeed, he was the president, but in the age of accumulation, his only responsibility was to decide when to transition to the age of sprouting. People believed that the transition point from the age of accumulation to the age of sprouting was not reached through calculations, but decided by an individual with emotions and a broad perspective. So in the age of accumulation, they needed to elect a president with emotions. The transition point from the age of sprouting to the age of accumulation, on the other hand, could be calculated. People might not accept this calculation result cognitively, so they needed to select a president without emotions in the age of sprouting. In the command center behind the city wall, the commander began to feel confused. Not just the commander, but everyone in the team also had no idea what to do next. Their duties were to command and fight in battle. But now, the battlefield was empty, devoid of any beasts. What and whom were they supposed to command and fight against? Engage in a battle with the president? They felt like they had lost their jobs. Zhang Li woke the beast up. Upon awaking, the beast roared at Zhang Li. Using his brute strength, Zhang Li tightened the space around the beast, forcing it to remain immobile, restrained to roaring. Such a strange beast, it has reached the body integration realm but it has no soul. Zhang domesticated the body structure of the beast with his divine sense, and found that it indeed possessed a beast's body, but with slight differences. The power of causality of the yin-yang heaven seal only affected JoJo, but its power of enlightening all things remained on. It tried to illuminate the beast, however the beast did not change at all. Has my ability become ineffective? Yin-yang heaven seal was filled with question marks. There had been an explosion from the solar simulation bomb earlier, and there was nothing else nearby, so it could only illuminate. Ming Zhang's silver jumpsuit. How come I'm naked, and there's a pervert touching me? Quote. The silver jumpsuit screamed, considering the bodily contact with a naked Ming Zhang as perverted behavior, and hurriedly detached from him. My ability's functioning fine, isn't it? Yin-yang heaven seal was still filled with question marks. Without his clothes, Ming Zhang shivered in the wind and he gave Yin-yang heaven seal a somber look. Yin-yang heaven seal quickly apologized, restoring the jumpsuit to normal. Ming Zhang put his clothes back on, but the thought of the jumpsuit screaming like a girl made him feel uncomfortable. Zhang Li gazed at the beast for a long time, his brows furrowing tighter, he muttered. Could it be? He showed a rare uncertainty, and used a remote communication talisman to call Bai Hongtu. Chapter 62. The traces left by the heavenly demon from another realm. What's up, missing me again? Oh, have you found the yin-yang heaven seal? This isn't the time for jokes. Take a look at this beast. Do you notice anything abnormal? Seeing Zhang Li speaking so seriously, Bai Hongtu stopped fooling around and examined the beast carefully as instructed. Bai Hongtu could not use his divine sense through the remote communication talisman, he could only use his eyes to examine the beast. To give Bai Hongtu a clearer look, he touched the rampaging beast's forehead. The beast disintegrated into countless particles and spread out. The projection of Bai Hongtu circled around the particles. Is this the trace left by the heavenly demons from outside this realm? Bai Hongtu widened his eyes and couldn't quite believe his speculation. However, a few traces were too similar to the work of the heavenly demons from outside this realm. Once, a heavenly demon applied a heavenly demon disintegration technique, polluting cities. The contaminated people lost their minds and ran rampant. Anyone bitten by them would also end up losing their mind and becoming the new source of infection. Structurally speaking, this beast cannot infect other creatures, but its lack of sanity, behaving only on instinct, is similar to the modus operandi of the heavenly demons. We reach the same conclusion. It must be the work of the heavenly demons from outside this realm. Is this world so strong that it hasn't been invaded by the heavenly demons yet? Bai Hongtu was greatly taken aback. The human emperor, the power of faith, immortal artifacts, and the powerful beings of the transcendence tribulation stage, etc. All resources available were fully used in a desperate attempt to resist the onslaught. Among the worlds beneath the immortal realm, JoJo is known for its formidable power. This world does not seem particularly strong but has managed to fend off the heavenly demons. Bai Hongtu grew respectful towards this world. Seeing the people here, he held them in high esteem. Noticing Ming Zhang, Bai Hongtu understood that he was a man of this world and treated him with respect as well. The stare from Bai Hongtu's projection made Ming Zhang feel rather awkward because he felt that Bai Hongtu may have misunderstood something. The unusual thing is that the heavenly demons appear to have only tampered with the beasts, inciting them to attack humans without launching a direct attack against them. Let me introduce you. This is the leader of the human race in this world, President number 506, you can call him Ming Zhang. This is Bai Hongtu, the sect master of Dao sect, at the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Zhang Li introduced them to each other. Hello. Hello, Sect Master Bai. Ming Zhang looked at Bai Hongtu with deep admiration, making Bai Hongtu feeling slightly puzzled. According to Ming Zhang, this is the strongest beast they have ever encountered. It's fresh from a breakthrough. They've never seen anything like it before. As for threats like heavenly demons, they've never seen them at all. What? Body integration realm, the strongest? Bai Hongtu was stunned. What are the heavenly demons thinking of? Relying on a beast of the body integration realm to invade a world? If such a creature dares to come to Jojo, the Dao sect could devour a body integration realm beast hotpot the same day. Noticing the puzzled expression on Ming Zhang's face, Bai Hongtu realized that what means nothing to Jojo is a massive threat to this world. Oh, I mean, the body integration realm is quite strong. Bai Hongtu hurriedly tried to correct himself. If Ming Zhang did not know that the other was a powerful being of the Transcendence Tribulation stage, he might have believed Bai Hongtu's words. But the problem was, he already knew. The Transcendence Tribulation stage saying the body integration realm is quite strong, isn't that a bit awkward? It just makes things more awkward. Ming Zhang wished he were emotionless at this point, so he wouldn't feel so embarrassed. There's another thing you need to know. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal said it sensed the cause and effect of Dao Ancestor here and suspects that it's right here. The Ancestor is here? Bai Hongtu asked excitedly, eyes gleaming. This is an unexpected gain and incredible good news for Dao sect. At present, we have not found any traces of the Dao Ancestor, but the senses of the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal should be correct. What are your thoughts? Bai Hongtu calmed down. A Mahayana realm being coming to this world, the Ancestor could not possibly be unaware. However, the Ancestor is still nowhere to be found, which suggests something is wrong. I suspect that the Dao Ancestor might be confronting the heavenly demons and does not have time for us. Zhang Li had a new theory after discovering the traces of the heavenly demons here. Then we'll have to trouble you. Bai Hongtu said solemnly. On this matter, he couldn't be of much help and could only rely on Zhang Li. After disconnecting the remote communication talisman, Zhang Li turned and asked Ming Zhang, who was looking at his toes. Are these beasts, or what you call ferocious beasts, only found here? No, this is just a part of them. The rest are active in their territories. Ming Zhang pointed towards a direction opposite to the human territories. The ferocious beasts came from there. However, I'm not quite certain about the situation over there. Every machine that went into the beasts' territories for investigation was destroyed. Very little data was sent back. Ming Zhang also started to refer to the ferocious beasts as beasts. Zhang Li nodded. Let's go, let's have a look over there. The land of the beasts was entirely different from human territories. Hundreds of meters tall ancient trees could be seen everywhere. Perhaps there was a beast hiding in the crown of a tree, waiting to ambush its own kind or them. Those beasts died horribly, and their remains couldn't even piece together one complete cadaver. Every time Zhang Li casually killed a beast, Ming Zhang would gleefully smile. His laughter continued the entire way, and his throat was dry from laughing. On their way, they saw several beasts that had just gone through body integration. Ming Zhang realized then that the beasts had evolved to a point where humans couldn't catch up. If not for Zhang Li's arrival, they might have been wiped out by the beasts within a few hundred years. Of course, he couldn't distinguish which beasts were at the divinity transformation stage or the body integration realm. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal told him. Ming Zhang's knowledge expanded. He discovered various types of beasts that humans had no knowledge of. The beasts that they had put great effort into studying were only a small portion. All the beasts have been tampered with by the heavenly demons from outside this realm. Zhang Li analyzed several beasts. They were all without intellect, acting merely on instinct, with traces of being infected by the heavenly demons from outside this realm in their bodies. But Zhang Li didn't see any beast that had reached the Transcendence Tribulation stage. The stage is not reachable by bloodline alone but requires profound comprehension of heavenly Tao and fulfilling multiple conditions, impossible for these beasts without wisdom. Have you noticed that the concentration of spiritual energy is getting denser? The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal asked. Indeed, Zhang Li noticed that the concentration of spiritual energy here was on par with Jojo. If these beasts were infused with wisdom, it would not be surprising for a few to reach the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Stop! Zhang Li suddenly shouted. What's wrong? The yin-yang heaven seal halted in its tracks. We might face danger ahead. Zhang Li frowned. He used his divine sense to sense a beast a few hundred kilometers away that might have become an immortal. Yet, how could a beast without intellect, which was not even possible to break through to the Transcendence Tribulation stage, become an immortal? And where did the Ascension stairway come from? Could there be an Ascension stairway in this world? Chapter 63. AQJNG. Upon learning that a demon beast capable of becoming an immortal existed up ahead, neither of them charged recklessly anymore, instead choosing to approach with extreme caution. Zhang Li saw a misshapen, green buffalo, as large as a hill, lying under a tree. It had a copper bell tied around its neck, 4 eyes, 4 horns, an extremely large and bloated body, a distended belly, and skin stretched to the point of splitting apart with dense liquid constantly seeping out. It was incredibly hideous. What was even more revolting was that every now and then, various kinds of demon beasts would crawl out from the cracks in its skin. These newborn demons, with eyes unable to even open, would lick the thick liquid seeping from the misshapen green buffalo. The demons would instantaneously grow from the chi cultivation stage to foundation establishment stage, and then leave the area. This is the source of the demon beasts. Ming Zhang stated softly in a low voice, his tone seething with anger. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at the misshapen buffalo, his nails digging into his palms, wishing he could kill the monster immediately. This is Master Zhang, Yin-Yang Heaven Seal exclaimed in shock. Despite the drastic transformation, it still recognized it as Dao Sect's mount. Zhang, it's me, Yin-Yang Heaven Seal. Where is Master? Moo. The deformed green buffalo awakened startled, its eyes filled with bloodshot madness. Agitated, it stomped its forehooves, carelessly crushing the demon beasts who had just drunk its thick liquid. Its focus fell solely on 2 of them and the seal. Especially that talking seal. Is it Dao Sect's mount? Zhang Li had once seen an image of Dao Sect ascendant on a buffalo at Dao Sect. He couldn't equate the monster in front of him with the gentle, immortal buffalo. The misshapen green buffalo charged straight at them. Yin-Yang Heaven Seal showed no fear and it chose the most offensive way to fight back. It clashed with the horns of the buffalo, producing a dull sound. Zhang, calm down. The misshapen green buffalo disregarded Yin-Yang Heaven Seal and the pair began to brawl, which resulted in the destruction of the landscape hundreds of miles around them. Ming Zhang was shielded by Zhang Li and couldn't see the fight clearly, he could only listen to the delayed combat sounds, the buffalo's mooing, and Yin-Yang Heaven Seal's roar. The misshapen green buffalo opened its mouth to release a beam of light, causing a destructive path stretching thousands of kilometers, even causing the earth to tremble. Yin-Yang Heaven Seal took this hit head-on, and was sent flying, covered in dust. Zhang, don't force me. You know my abilities. I can control your fate. Yin-Yang Heaven Seal roared. Ming Zhang didn't expect that uncouth Yin-Yang Heaven Seal he used to mess around with could get so furious. Fate? Why can't I see your fate? Yin-Yang Heaven Seal was taken aback. The buffalo before him was definitely the mount of his master and a demon beast from the 9 provinces. Even if it became immortal, it should be able to control its fate. But now, he couldn't even see it, let alone control it. With a moment of distraction, the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal was knocked away by the misshapen buffalo. When it flew back, ready to have another big fight with Zhang, it found that Zhang Li had taken its place and was confronting the misshapen buffalo. Upon their first clash, Zhang Li felt a force surpassing the Transcendence Tribulation stage. This was undoubtedly a divine beast. He used his Dharma manifestation in the world, and strived to minimize it as much as possible, creating a gigantic figure standing hundreds of meters tall, equivalent in volume to the misshapen green buffalo. In the process, 2 extra pairs of hands grew from his back, and all 4 hands grabbed the horns of the misshapen buffalo to toss it, hitting the tree where it had just been sleeping. An old ring bounced out from the tree, drawing Zhang Li's attention. He held the ring and discovered that a wisp of immortal power was seeping out of the ring. Wherever it touched the outside world, it transformed into a huge amount of spiritual energy. Is this a storage ring specifically used to store immortal power? Zhang Li recalled that the immortal elder had once mentioned that most immortals who descended to the lower realm would prepare a specially made storage ring filled with immortal power. This ring could only store immortal power, but its storage capacity was staggering, sufficient for an immortal to use for tens of thousands of years. He was seeing this kind of thing for the first time and was slightly uncertain. Zhang Li speculated that the rich spiritual energy here might be due to this. He even made a bolder guess. The spiritual energy of the entire continent might have originated from this ring. You are the bad people who want to steal the master's ring. Return the ring. The misshapen green buffalo climbed up from the ground and spoke human language. So, you can speak. Are you Tao sect's mount? You are the bad people who want to steal the master's ring. Return the ring. You are the bad people who want to steal the master's ring. Return the ring. You are the bad people who want to steal the master's ring. Return the ring. The misshapen green buffalo constantly repeated this sentence. Its speaking just now was nothing more than an obsession in its heart, and thus it could only repeat this one sentence. Who wants to steal master's ring? Aking, answer me. Yin-Yang Heaven Seal still thought that the buffalo had some sanity left and hurriedly asked. It's no use. It's not the Aking you know anymore. Zhongli shook his head, and used all four of his hands to pummel the green buffalo. Even if the green buffalo's horns were smashed, it still kept repeating that sentence. You are the bad people who want to steal the master's ring. Return the ring. Zhongli understood. The green buffalo had been guarding this ring for thousands of years, waiting for Tao sect to return, and it was also relying on the immortal power in the ring to stay alive until now. Fortunately, the green buffalo had never left this place. If it had made even a single trip to the human world, the humans would have been wiped out long ago. An enraged immortal beast wouldn't be stopped easily, even by the 9 provinces. Zhongli held the buffalo in place. The yin-yang heaven seal slowly floated in front of the green buffalo's eyes and said, Aking, in a complicated tone. It still remembered the day. The willows were swaying gently, the breeze was warm, the stream was trickling, Aking was sleeping under the willows, Master was leaning on Aking, holding it and sporting a thoughtful smile. Who knew that when they met again, everything would have changed? Aking had gone crazy, Master had disappeared, leaving only it alone. The yin-yang heaven seal's reflection appeared in the green buffalo's eyes, tears mixed with blood flowed out. The tears sizzled as they hit the ground. Kill me, the green buffalo uttered weak, intermittent sounds. Aking, have you regained your senses? Yin-yang heaven seal was delighted. You are the bad people who want to steal the master's ring. Return the ring, Aking roared, then said again in a tone of begging. Kill me. Yin-yang heaven seal sighed deeply, realizing that Aking was in pain and desperately wished to die. It asked Zhongli to deal the final blow and put Aking out of its misery. Zhongli waved his hand and cut off Aking's head. Even though the green buffalo had died, demon beasts continued to crawl out from its body. Left with no other choice, Zhongli had to burn Aking's corpse to ashes. Zhongli formerly believed that the heavenly demons could only pollute the people of the lower realm. He never ever imagined that they could even pollute an immortal beast. The body of the green buffalo had been clearly modified by the heavenly demons. Zhongli sensed inside it the blood of many demon beasts, birds, mammals, there was nothing that was not included. It was a good thing that the green buffalo had the body of an immortal beast, otherwise with such complex and incompatible kinds of blood in its body, it would have died long ago. Chapter 64. The Face of the Taoist Ancestor. The moment when the green bull turned into ashes, Ming Zhang couldn't help but cry out loud. In the beginning when he found Zhongli and the yin-yang heaven seal, he just wanted to have a conversation with them, asking for some technical support out of respect for them being intelligent life forms. Who would have thought that these two, along with the seal, would be so powerful beyond belief? Having just met them in the morning, by evening they had already dealt with several body integration realm monster beasts and a suspected immortal beast, the source of the monster beasts. All of this happened so fast, it felt so surreal to Ming Zhang. He slapped himself twice, the pain reminding him that it all was not a dream. It was real. To resist the monster beasts, they gave up emotions and focused on developing technology, but thousands of years have passed and their territory has been getting smaller and smaller. Humans were close to despair, although they all knew it, nobody said it out loud. But now, humans finally see the dawn of victory. Little Qing is gone, but where is the master? Ming Zhang was happy, but he was still worried about the master and the yin-yang heaven seal, which seemed dispirited. Zhongli handed the master's storage ring to the yin-yang heaven seal. Since the yin-yang heaven seal had no hands, it held the ring with its head and continued to move forward. The location of Little Qing was already at the edge of the continent. Less than 1,000 kilometers later, they all stood at the edge of a cliff with no road ahead. This was the end of the continent. To proceed further meant leaving the continent, breaking through gravitational forces, and heading into the vast universe. The yin-yang heaven seal was not willing to give up yet and jumped into the bottomless cliff. Zhongli also dragged Ming Zhang down with him. Ming Zhang only felt a moment of confusion. It was as if he was diving into the deep sea, having difficulty breathing due to the immense pressure. After a while, he suddenly felt lighter, like drifting up to the surface. Mingzhong was on the other side of the continent, a place where humans have never set foot before. The continental edge exerted strong pressure, capable of squishing hundreds of tons of steel to the thickness of a few millimeters of paper. They couldn't yet produce a material capable of withstanding such pressure with their level of technology. If Zhongli hadn't protected him, he would have been crushed to a pulp the moment he jumped off the cliff. It's so dark. As Mingzhong stepped onto the other side of the continent, he found it completely pitch black, unable to see his hand in front of him. Fortunately, Zhongli was by his side, and his words greatly reassured him. Don't worry, it's just that you've gone blind. Oh, that's a relief. I thought the other side of the continent had no sun, Mingzhong sighed with relief. Do you really believe that? The yin-yang heaven seal couldn't help but mock even though it was in a bad mood. Zhongli threw out a red feather, which illuminated several dozen miles around with its warm glow. Both the yin-yang heaven seal and Zhongli could scan with their divine senses and didn't have to rely on the light. Zhongli illuminated the area for Mingzong's sake. Mingzong's suit had a light-emitting feature, but when he turned it on, he emitted a faint blue light all over and stumbled around, looking like a ghost. Zhongli couldn't stand it and took out the sun crow feather, motioning for Mingzhong to turn off the light of his suit. Only then did Mingzhong see the other side of the continent, a barren land with large rocks joined together, without a single blade of grass. Zhongli and the yin-yang heaven seal spread out their divine senses and wandered around the backside of the continent, searching for traces of the master, but there was nothing here other than stones. After moving back and forth from the human side to the monster beast domain, they decided not to enter the city. The yin-yang heaven seal went from the human territory to the monster beast domain again, but still didn't find anything. The yin-yang heaven seal sat on top of a mountain, gazing at the starry sky, lost in thought. Zhongli and Mingzhong accompanied him. The temperature on top of the mountain was tens of degrees below zero, and the fierce snowstorm made the cold bone-chilling. The yin-yang heaven seal sat still, letting the snow bury itself. Both reacted to the fact that the master's mount was polluted by the heavenly demon and the storage ring, which contained immortal power, was not with him. The master may be in a dire situation. They wanted to help but couldn't even find the master's trace. It seemed Zhongli remembered something. He leapt up, broke free from the gravitational force, and flew to a neighboring planet. He looked down on the entire continent, silent. He contacted Bai Hongtu. Bai Hongtu and the image of the everlasting immortal elder stood beside him, looking at the whole continent, their faces covered in tears. On the second day, Zhongli took Mingzhong back to the human side, returned to the monster beast domain, killed all the monster beasts at the body integration realm and divinity transformation stage, and dug out the yin-yang heaven seal buried in the snow. Let's go back. The master is not here. You're talking nonsense. We can't find the master anywhere. He might have just left his mount and storage ring here, and then left to fight the heavenly demon. He had no time to take care of little Qing. But I feel the master's karma here. This kind of karma only occurs when he himself is here. Zhongli shook his head. There have been many problems with your power of karma, this time is no exception. You sensed it wrong. I don't believe it. The yin-yang heaven seal faced Zhongli like it was glaring at him. I figured it out. You think looking for the master is too much trouble and want to trick me back to Ninjo. Calm down and think about what I said. It's not that we don't want to help, but the master is not in this world. Staying here is in vain if you don't know where he is. Sooner or later, the master will return to Ninjo if he defeats the heavenly demon. Why don't you come back with me to Ninjo first? You are lying. You just want to trick me back to Ninjo to use me as samurai. The yin-yang heaven seal's state was obviously unstable, it was not yet mature and could not think rationally. That's right, there are issues. I can't see little Qing's karma, because he was transformed by the heavenly demon. I can't see your karma either. You were also transformed by the heavenly demon. Maybe you are the heavenly demon. The yin-yang heaven seal shivered slightly, and the more it talked, the closer it felt to the truth. Nonsense. Zhongli was angry and stretched out his hand to grab the yin-yang heaven seal. Anyone would be angry if they were accused of being a heavenly demon, just like being labeled a traitor in the special era of his previous life. I didn't dare to use all my strength in Ninjo. I don't have any worries in this world. The yin-yang heaven seal was not afraid of Zhongli. It glowed brightly, like a second sun, full of endless vitality. I am going to awaken the spirit in this continent. When Zhongli first arrived, he didn't know how vast this continent was. After traveling back and forth across it in the past few days, he realized it was about the size of 2 states in the Ninja world. Now, what kind of earth-shattering change would this continent undergo when it gained consciousness? The continent trembled violently and there was an unprecedented earthquake. Kilometer-high mountains collapsed in an instant, killing countless monster beasts. Cracks appeared at the bottom of the ocean and water flowed out through the cracks, turning the sea into a river. Floods wreaked havoc and monster beasts scattered in panic. Suddenly, the sky turned completely dark. As the yin-yang heaven seal looked up, it realized that its view of the sky was blocked by an eyelash. When the divine sense was spread to its limits, it finally saw what was blocking the sky and started to tremble uncontrollably. The Master's Face. Chapter 65, Steel. Zhongli had once stood on other stars to observe the continent, and finally understood the full picture. The entire continent is a corpse of an immortal, more precisely, the corpse of the Taoist ancestor. The corpse of the Taoist ancestor was enormous, stretching across 2 provinces, the size of dozens of planets. The sun, moon and stars all revolved around it, forming the universe seen by the humans of this world. Monsters roamed between the Taoist ancestor's thigh and head, and humans were active between the calves and feet. Zhongli had never seen such a thing before. He let Immortal Trusin take a look, and Immortal Trusin wept uncontrollably. With great sorrow in his heart, he bowed 9 times to the body of the Taoist ancestor, saying someone had transformed his body into such a massive form, but he couldn't understand the purpose. Zhongli thought it was the work of a heavenly demon from another realm, but he also couldn't understand the purpose. If someone had the ability and time to refine the Taoist ancestor's body into a continent, why not just kill everyone here? Instead, they were contaminating monsters and letting the monsters kill humans. Considering that Tianyin's intelligence was not mature enough to accept this reality, Zhongli intended to send it back to Jojo and wait until it had matured a little more to tell it about this. Who would have thought that this young thing would bring the entire continent back to life? No, that's impossible. Tianyin knew that he could only animate the dead objects, but how could his master be dead? He was a self-proclaimed Taoist ancestor. He was destined to carry this title. He might even be the incarnation of the Taoist ancestor from the immortal realm. How could such a person possibly die? Regardless of whether Tianyin believed it or not, the corpse of the Taoist ancestor was right before him, with a consciousness that he had just bestowed. Tianyin, you bastard! Quickly erase the consciousness of the Taoist ancestor's corpse. I can't control him anymore. If it was just a continent, Tianyin could easily give or erase consciousness. But this was the body of a Taoist ancestor, an immortal corpse stronger than ordinary immortals by who knows how much. Once it gained consciousness, it would, out of instinct for self-preservation, block the influence of Tianyin. You should have stayed in Tao sect and refined more cycles. Zhongli cursed loudly. Small in size but causing more trouble than anyone else. Fortunately, after the Taoist ancestor's corpse gained consciousness, the awareness was weak and couldn't control such a large body. Currently, only the head could move, the arms were stiff, providing little disturbance to humans. But if the whole body becomes active, stretching out its arms and legs, none of the humans living on the legs would survive. Just because the size is big doesn't mean that everyone can grow tall. Zhongli roared, demonstrating the Dharma manifestation in the world, which was also unimaginably huge. He pressed onto the Taoist ancestor's hands, resisted the head, took out his divine sense, and entered through the Taoist ancestor's brow. The Taoist ancestor's spiritual platform was a scene of decay, with only a white-robed shadow standing in it, frowning slightly, unable to understand the current situation. He was bored inside and wanted to destroy something. He knew he had the power, but he couldn't control it very well. He wanted to control his body. His intuition told him that once he could control his own body, he could do whatever he wanted. This was the newly formed consciousness of the Taoist ancestor, and the shadow was gradually condensing. Although you may not know, you shouldn't have appeared, but sorry. Zhongli's divine sense was blazing hot, having a strong restraining effect on the Taoist ancestor's shadow which couldn't even be considered a soul. The Taoist ancestor was unrivaled in his Taoist skills during his lifetime, but his shadow was like a red dust immortal, knowing nothing of his past life and unable to perform any Taoist techniques. He could only strike blindly according to his instincts. But such a clumsy version of him had no chance of defeating Zhongli and was quickly destroyed by Zhongli. With the return of his divine sense, Zhongli pushed the Taoist ancestor's raised head back down again. This was not a battle, only a cleanup for Tianyin, so Zhongli caught Tianyin in his hand and hit him until his seal body cracked open. This time, however, Tianyin did not cry, only silently enduring the pain. It also knew that it had made a big mistake. The matter was over, but there were still many mysteries, which made Zhongli frown. He suddenly remembered that he had once asked the system store if there were any nuclear bombs for sale, and the system's reply was, "Please go to the other world first." He opened the store interface and found that the content had indeed been updated. There were now items from this world, such as light brains, sun-like projectiles, etc., and the prices were not high. He didn't need these things for now, as he wanted to buy something else. Among a host of high-tech goods, he found an out-of-place antique. It was a steel that would cost several 100,000 source points. The store's description of the steel was, "Information left by the Taoist ancestor at the time of his demise." Zhang Li knew he had guessed correctly. The Taoist ancestor, being such a significant figure, couldn't have left nothing behind. To find the Taoist ancestors' things here would likely take several years. Using divine sense to search bit by bit, it would be a waste of time. Zhang Li decided to buy it directly. It was worth it even if it was only worth tens of body integration realm cultivation techniques. There was a great chaos in immortal realm. Out of helplessness, I brought your ancestors to this world. The enemy pursued closely. There was a big battle. The opponent was too powerful. I lost. I turned myself into a continent. I provided a place of refuge for you. They dare not, but they contaminated my Ah Ching. I had no power to stop. I'm sorry. It's unclear where this steel is located. It's seriously damaged, and only a part of the inscription is legible. Jojo was using the same language as the immortal realm, and when Zhang Li saw that the inscription on the steel was in Jojo's language, he thought it was written for people in Jojo to see. But after reading the content of the inscription, he felt that it was written for Ming Zhang and the other immortal realm survivors. After coming to this place, Zhang Li learned the language of this world. It seems that Ming Zhang and the others had forgotten their own language in the long course of history. Zhang Li knew that not everyone in the immortal realm was an immortal. Immortals had descendants, and they needed people to serve them. In the immortal realm, there were also cultivators who were not yet immortal. The immortal realm survivors brought along by the Taoist ancestor were probably these people. Only after the Taoist ancestor's death there occurred some unknown changes, causing Ming Zhang and the others to forget their origins, and chose to tread the path of technology instead. Would it be possible to use source points to complete the steel? This product does not support completion with source points. Seeing that it was useful this time, Zhang Li didn't complain about the system's inability. The steel answered some questions, but it still didn't make Zhang Li understand why the heavenly demons didn't kill Ming Zhang and the others. In the Taoist ancestor's words, it was daring not. Zhang Li showed the steel to Tianyin and Ming Zhang, saying that he found it in the Taoist ancestor's brow. So we come from the immortal realm. Ming Zhang was silent for a moment before quickly accepting their identity. Knowing that Ming Zhang and the others were the people the Taoist ancestor wanted to protect, Tianyin developed a liking for this world, apart from feeling sad. Since this is something left by the Taoist ancestor for you, this steel belongs to you. Zhang Li handed the steel to Ming Zhang, preparing to leave. Will we see each other again in the future? Zhang Li replied with a smile. That will depend on whether we can find the sentient Fanshan Tower. With the power of the Fanshan Tower, it should be no problem to create a channel connecting Jojo and Ming Zhang's world. Ming Zhang did not understand his meaning, but instead, it was Tianyin who said firmly. We will find it. After the man and the seal left, Ming Zhang took out a button. The light brain appeared and emotionlessly asked. President number 506, the peak of accumulation era has not yet been reached. Do you want to prematurely initiate the hair-thin opportunity era? The light brain had asked the question thrice, and Ming Zhang confirmed it thrice without annoyance, finally pressing the button. Now the mainland was only inhabited by monsters at the nascent soul stage, destroyed by Zhang Li. With human technology, they could easily defeat them and retake their lost territory. It was time for humans to have emotions again. Chapter 66, 3 Rules of Spiritual Treasure. Zhang Li tried, but he could not bring the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal back to Jojo through the teleportation channel provided by the system. Fortunately, both the man and the seal shared a common trait of being robust, unafraid of the turbulent void. With the coordinates provided by the system, Zhang Li shattered the space and returned to Jojo through the void. Then they were stopped by a great array from outside. He had installed the door, but he couldn't open it himself. A heavenly demon from outside the realm. Oh, it's Brother Zhang. Sky Desolate Halberd, being the core of the array, thought there was an invasion by a heavenly demon and hastily stopped shouting halfway. Sky Desolate Halberd felt uncomfortable seeing the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal following Zhang Li, feeling somewhat betrayed. I was here first, he thought to himself. Zhang Li brought the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal back to the Tao sect. Having experienced so much, the seal no longer desired the spiritual treasure dynasty and chose to stay in JoJo. Its master was harmed by a heavenly demon. If it did not seek revenge, it would not be an immortal artifact. In JoJo, there was never a lack of heavenly demons to kill. Zhongli told Bai Hongtu and Elder Chengkun everything that had happened. Although they had already seen Dao Ancestor's corpse through the remote communication talisman, hearing Zhongli recount it gave them a different feel. Can you sense the causality of the ascended seniors? The yin-yang heaven seal rocked its body. I can't. It's like they've completely disappeared. Quote. Zhongli crossed his arms, propping up his chin, and sank into deep thought. The yin-yang heaven seal felt the cause and effect of Dao Ancestor on that mainland, which suggested that its power of causality was not useless. It couldn't perceive Ah Qing's causality, possibly because she was transformed by a heavenly demon. If this conjecture held, then what happened to all the ascended seniors? But that's not right. Why can't it see its own causality? After all, he had been raised in JoJo since the age of 18. Could it be possible that his previous life was a heavenly demon? Should we erase the consciousness of all the spiritual treasures? The yin-yang heaven seal stood dutifully on the table, giving an impression that it would do whatever they said. It added, just to be clear, I can't erase the consciousness of the immortal artifacts. They've probably all developed souls by now. Other spiritual treasures can be erased, they're not as quick to develop souls. Let's erase them, even though I'm really quite reluctant to, Bai Hongtu said regretfully. Zhongli, didn't you once say that everything has two sides like a double-edged sword? I believe that's true for spiritual treasures with consciousness. While we're worried that the spiritual treasures would harm humans, they can also enhance the offensive abilities of cultivators. I temporarily held a competition in the Dao sect allowing disciples with close relationships with their spiritual treasures to participate, with the use of their spiritual treasures permitted. The result was beyond expectation. The and their masters seemed to nave a connection, using TNEM was very smooth. Lani's spiritual treasures even had their own consciousness and actively helped their masters attack. The overall strength has improved, with outer sect disciples defeating inner sect disciples, and inner sect disciples defeating core disciples being a common occurrence during the competition. Bai Hongtu drew out his Luo Yu sword. This is my sword, I'm currently teaching it swordsmanship, and it's progressing rapidly. After saying that, the Luo Yu sword performed a sword flourish on its own, learning 30% of the essence of Bai Hongtu's swordsmanship. Not to brag, but everyone knows that I, Bai Hongtu, am known as a sword immortal. Compared to some people who only know the hard sword technique, my swordsmanship is superior by far. This is the result of my Luo Yu sword learning for a few days. Bai Hongtu demonstrated the benefits of spiritual treasures gaining consciousness to everyone. Zhongli felt as if he was being mocked. No, there is no need to erase the consciousness of the spiritual treasures for now, Zhongli said, puzzling both the yin-yang heaven seal and Elder Changkun. Bai Hongtu looked at Zhongli with hopeful eyes, knowing that Zhongli would come up with a solution. Zhongli found inspiration in Mingzong's world. Let's conduct an experiment, starting with the Great Zhou. I'll persuade Gigi. Specifically, let the Great Zhou issue a law. Spiritual treasures are not immortal artifacts and cannot sustain themselves. We can grant certain rights to spiritual treasures, such as helping to enhance their quality, daily maintenance, etc., and impose rules on them. First, they must not harm their master. Second, spiritual treasures must obey their master's commands, with exceptions when the command conflicts with the first rule. Third, spiritual treasures should protect their own survival as far as possible, provided that it does not violate the first and second rules. And there's an additional rule: they must protect the overall interests of the people in JoJo from any harm. The first three rules can only be established under this premise. Given the unique situation of the Great Zhou, even if we are successful, the effect of issuing such a law in other realms might not be good. I remember that there are some people in the Dao sect who practice the uncommon path of contracts. We can try to establish these three rules and the additional rule on a contract, allowing the spiritual treasure masters and the spiritual treasures to sign the contract. Bai Hongtu and Elder Chengkun thought for a moment, unable to find any flaws in the rules. Amazed by Zhongli's idea, they naturally supported it, foreseeing a leap in JoJo's strength if it could be successfully implemented. As for the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal, it couldn't have found any loopholes in the rules, even if there had been any. What are you planning to do next? Find the immortal artifacts in the other worlds? Bai Hongtu asked, as if he was not planning on giving Zhongli any rest. No, I have a new idea that I want to try. The Yin-Yang Heaven Seal stayed in the Dao sect, while Zhongli planned to visit the Great Zhou before trying his new idea. At that moment, Gigi was deep in intense discussion with his ministers. I believe we should use a law to rein in the spiritual treasures. Since spiritual treasures have consciousness now, they are like demonic beasts entering the Great Joe, discarding their law of the jungle lifestyle. They should be subject to the law, granted rights, and required to fulfill duties. The Left Prime Minister argued. Your words are wrong, Left Prime Minister. Spiritual treasures have always been objects. How can they be granted rights? This is not in line with tradition or common sense. We should treat as domestic animals, acknowledging their lives, while also retaining the power to decide their life and death at will, the Right Prime Minister rebuffed. We're seeing a change in the spiritual treasures that we haven't seen for thousands of years. Surely we can't use tradition as a reason and stay stuck in the past. If the law cannot adapt to the times, not only the law but also our Great Joe will be left behind. Justice Supreme Minister, do not fearmonger. Fearmonger, the Justice Supreme Minister scoffed. How is telling the truth considered fearmongering? Our great ancestor could travel through the river of time and certainly foresaw this change. The laws he established only stipulated the rights and duties of the human race and the demonic race and made no mention of spiritual treasures. This shows that there's no need for special treatment for spiritual treasures. If the great ancestor could foresee everything, why didn't he tell us when the heavenly demons would come? You dare to question the great ancestor? Right Prime Minister. Everyone else is respectfully discussing the issue, and here you are throwing groundless accusations. Gigi was furious. Include the spiritual treasures in the laws of the Great Joe, Gigi made a decisive statement. Chapter 67. The ingenious use of shops. Enforcing laws on intelligent spiritual treasures will greatly benefit our Great Joe dynasty, Gigi proposed in an unquestionable tone. Let's move on to the next topic, the formulation of laws applicable to spiritual treasures. All the ministers agreed, fully understanding the emperor's reasoning. The fortune of the Great Joe depends on the law. If anyone violates the law, the nation's fortune will decline. Conversely, if more people abide by the law, the nation's fortune will increase. The term people here does not merely refer to human beings, it extends to all sentient beings, such as humans, demons, and intelligent spiritual treasures. Nobody knew the exact number of spiritual treasures in the Great Joe, but everyone agreed that it might be more than they expected. Not every cultivator could possess a high-quality spiritual artifact, but low-level spiritual artifacts were everywhere. According to Gigi's estimate, every 3 cultivators would have a low-level spiritual artifact on average. If these artifacts could comply with the laws of the Great Joe, the nation's fortune would strengthen significantly and noticeably. However, although it was easy to decide to establish laws, it was hard to draft the laws themselves. If the laws were unreasonable, they could be exploited, that would cause significant harm to the nation's fortune. The many ministers continuously offered suggestions, only to have them continually exposed for their flaws. A flaw would be mended only for a new one to appear, causing significant distress to everyone. I suggest giving spiritual treasures the same rights as humans. What if a spiritual treasure breaks during a battle? Do we demand a human life in return? What if a spiritual treasure kills someone? Then we forbid spiritual treasures from killing. If spiritual treasures cannot kill, do cultivators have to rely on literary debates for their disputes? Spiritual treasures must obey all commands of their master. What if a master uses a spiritual treasure to commit suicide? Is it considered murder or suicide by the spiritual treasure? Creating new laws had at least former laws for reference, but legislation for spiritual treasures involved wholly new concepts and inventions, creating laws from scratch. Zhongli was hovering above the palace of Zhou, waiting for the ministers to leave Yangqin Hall before going to find Gigi. Gigi looked haggard and demoralized, which greatly startled Zhongli. Have you been poisoned, or have you entered the 5 decays of heaven and man state? Gigi shot him a glance. Can't you see I'm just stressed out? Because of the discussion among the ministers earlier. No, it was caused by that Tian Yin from Dao sect, causing all spiritual treasures to gain intelligence. Gigi complained. Why not listen to my suggestion? Zhongli came here specifically for this matter, so he repeated his thoughts from the Dao sect, which made Gigi's eyes glow. Wonderful idea, Brother Zhong. Gigi quickly grasped the 3 rules and extra rules proposed by Zhongli, which would prevent spiritual treasures from turning against their masters and helped establish the overall tone of the laws. With this overall tone set, the detailed provisions could soon be filled in. After Gigi agreed, Zhongli needed to find a place to retreat for several days, so he returned to the imperial palace after a long period. The imperial palace held a unique position at the center of the 9 provinces. Other than Zhongli himself, there were 6 leaders in the palace, 1 at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, 5 at the Body Integration realm, and even 100 imperial guards protecting the palace. When Zhongli was not around, the palace was usually occupied by the figure who had reached the Transcendence Tribulation stage. There was originally 1 more figure at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, but they had unfortunately fallen in a battle against the heavenly demons from abroad before Zhongli had assumed the throne. Hall Master. Upon seeing Zhongli, the 2 guards standing at the imperial palace straightened up even more with shining eyes. They felt an urge to cry with deep emotion. It had been so long since they last saw the pavilion master. When they first joined the imperial guards, they thought they could see the glory of the human emperor every day. However, decades had passed, and the human emperor had only been to the imperial palace a few times. They were not even on duty during those times. According to their peers, the pavilion master visited the Dao sect more often than the imperial palace. As imperial guards who had served for decades, seeing the real human emperor for the first time was indeed a rare event. Zhongli returned to his private cave dwelling and began his retreat. He wrote cultivation techniques swiftly. Body integration realm techniques, as common as cabbages, were easily penned down, and sometimes he even managed to produce a book of Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivation techniques. After 10 days, the floor of the cave was filled with cultivation techniques. There was barely any room to set foot. He sold all these techniques to the system to gain a large amount of source points. The system was nearly overloaded because it had not expected Zhongli to write so many cultivation techniques. Although numerous, these techniques were of low quality and were practically useless once mastered. For instance, the Devour Sky Earth technique requires the cultivator to eat 10 times more than those of the same level without any other benefits. Similarly, the Thoughtless technique enables cultivators to become thoughtless and fall asleep quickly. Even so, these were genuine techniques that could lead to the body integration realm, compelling the system to purchase them at the standard rate for body integration realm techniques. Zhongli wrote a lot, which resulted in the continuous accumulation of source points. After all the techniques were sold, the system displayed Zhongli's current source points. Source points. What happened? Zhongli was confused. He bought random items from the shop and found out that his source points still displayed. Quote ? Although he was not sure what happened, Zhongli figured he had somehow achieved unlimited source points. When Zhongli bought the ancestors' steel from the shop, he knew the system's shop did not conjure things from thin air. The items truly exist, otherwise, there is no reason the shop items would only update once he went to another world. Hence, the method to find the remaining immortal artifacts became clear. Purchase the Brahma Tower, Great Confucian Word Post, Magic Gourd, Mount Heshan Stone, Dragon Ball, and Past and Present Sword. Zhongli found these immortal artifacts in the shop and clicked purchase one by one. Why go to other worlds when he could simply shop online? 6 light circles appeared in his cave, from which the immortal artifacts materialized. What's going on? Where are we? I was about to establish a dynasty. It's Zhong, the human emperor. The immortal artifacts scrambled in a heated discussion. They had just begun to enjoy their carefree days in other worlds when Zhongli brought them back through an unknown method. As for the escape, facing the well-prepared Zhongli, none of the immortal artifacts could flee. However, it does not mean that he found all the immortal artifacts. The Brahma Tower did not emerge from the light circle. Zhongli saw the light circle shake before it stabilized. He wanted to bring back the Brahma Tower but didn't get the chance, as it had already escaped. Well, it's an immortal artifact with control over spatial powers. Even the system can't catch it. Zhongli wasn't worried. He found a clever workaround by shopping for the immortal artifacts from the system, but he still had the conventional method, employing the causality power of the yin-yang heaven seal. With it, no matter where the Brahma Tower escaped to, he could find it. It would only take him some time. As for the light circle of the past and present sword, no movement was detected at all. Zhongli guessed that the sword had escaped into the river of time, where spatial methods were useless, and thus the system was helpless. Just when he was about to set off in search of the Brahma Tower, he saw an incredibly interesting mission released by the system. The mission was not important. What attracted Zhongli was the mission reward. Mission reward. Activate the special mission, searching for fragments of the Heavenly Ascension Ladder. Chapter 68, Tian Sha Pavilion. Task announcement. After you have entered the academy with the highest score, many beautiful women have sought your guidance in learning, resulting in private, intensive exchanges that have caused dissatisfaction among the male students. One of them has paid a hefty sum to hire an assassin from Tian Sha Pavilion to assassinate you. Your task is to evade the assassin. This task cannot be given up. Task reward. Unlock the special task. Looking for the shards of the Ascend to Immortality ladder. This task was quite interesting. Except for the first novice task that could not be abandoned, it was the first time Zhang Li had encountered a task that could not be given up. In other words, in the system's cognition, this task, or more accurately the task reward, was of critical importance. Tian Sha Pavilion. Zhang Li had certainly heard of this organization. It was the top assassin organization in Zhou, and a competitor to the Sky Mechanism Tower. The Tian Sha Pavilion was responsible for eliminating high-level cultivators, while the Sky Mechanism Tower made a profit from the spirit stones of high-level cultivators. The conflict between the two organizations had been accumulating for a long time. Zhang Li presumed that, in the system's understanding, he had been at the academy for over a month and had reached the intermediate level of the Foundation Establishment stage. The lowest-ranked assassins in Tian Sha Pavilion are of the Golden Core stage. From the system's perspective, this was a highly dangerous task. As for Zhang Li, this task was not easy either. Among the human dynasties, if one were to discuss the dynasty that most esteemed martial force, it would be the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. In the imperial city of the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty was Tian Sha Pavilion. Erected with a clear and upright Tian Sha Pavilion sign, it was highly sought after by the people of Tianyuan and did very good business. Unlike the orderly Sky Mechanism Tower, Tian Sha Pavilion was needed to exercise its greatest advantage where there was the most chaos. In the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, everyone harbored enmity towards someone else and wanted someone dead yet was incapable of doing it themselves. This is where Tian Sha Pavilion found its purpose. If Tian Sha Pavilion was established in the Dazhou Emperor dynasty, it would have been banned as an illegal organization the next day. Tian Sha Pavilion's assassins were divided into A, B, C grades, responsible for killing God Transformation Stage cultivators, Nascent Soul Stage cultivators, and Golden Core Stage cultivators. In addition, the Pavilion Master and the Deputy Pavilion Master, who were both in the late stage of body integration and the peak of integration, specialized in assassinating body integration realm cultivators. At this moment, the A grade assassins and the Pavilion Master and the Deputy Pavilion Master were all gathered together, discussing a particularly important issue for the Tian Sha Pavilion. Do the three grades, A, B, C, seem unsophisticated? I'm considering changing the rank names. Does anyone have any good ideas? The Pavilion Master asked slowly, leading the assassins to start pondering. Indeed, A, B, and C sounded weak and not imposing enough. It would be good to change to a pleasant and domineering grade name. What about Gold Medal Assassin, Silver Medal Assassin, and Bronze Medal Assassin? The Deputy Pavilion Master suggested constructively. No good, no good. We are all cultivators. Gold, silver, and bronze are materials used by ordinary people. How can we base our ranks on the items of ordinary people? A grade assassin objected. Since gold, silver, and bronze are not suitable, then let's use spirit stones. Low-level assassin, mid-level assassin, high-level assassin. The Pavilion Master and the Deputy Pavilion Master can be known as top-level assassins. Another A grade assassin followed suit with the train of thought. The Pavilion Master made a tisk noise. A top-level assassin sounds rather derisive, doesn't it? And to call a Golden Core Stage assassin a low-level, wouldn't they be dissatisfied? It's not appropriate. How about Heaven-level assassin, Earth-level assassin, and Human-level assassin? This is the Tao of the three powers and can make us look cultured. An erudite A grade assassin said. People only know about heaven, earth, and man, but they rarely know that this is the Tao of the three powers. An A grade assassin frowned. We are only at the God transformation stage. Where do we get the destiny to bear such a title as heaven? If it weren't for the first-generation Pavilion Master becoming a disciple who controlled the intercepting the 7 killing steel in the immortal realm, we would not dare to call ourselves Tian Sha Pavilion. What about first-class assassin, second-class assassin, and third-class assassin? It doesn't sound as good as A, B, C. All the assassins said in unison. Just when the assassins were actively discussing A, B, grade assassin pushed the door and entered. You just barge in when we're having a meeting, don't you know the rules? The Pavilion Master scolded angrily. Under the gaze of the Pavilion Master, the Deputy Pavilion Master and all A grade assassins, the B grade assassin's legs trembled as he stammered. Pavilion Master, you said to immediately let you know if there was any news about your sister. Your sister sent a card. The Great Assassin placed the big red festive card on the table nearest to the door, not daring to linger longer, and hurriedly fled. The atmosphere was so tense that it must have been a serious topic they were discussing earlier. As soon as the subject of the Pavilion Master's sister came up, everyone's attention shifted to the card, and a sense of foreboding welled up in their hearts. The sister of the Pavilion Master was also an Great Assassin and the only female among the Great Assassins. She was cold and beautiful, especially in her black, sexy outfit, which highlighted her stunning figure. Almost all Great Assassins had some feelings for her and affectionately called her junior sister. 30 years ago, Tian Sha Pavilion received a big order. Someone had paid a large sum of money to hire Tian Sha Pavilion to kill a body integration realm cultivator. This should have been a task for the Pavilion Master and Deputy Pavilion Master. However, the Pavilion Master's sister was ambitious and insisted on doing the task herself. The Pavilion Master had no choice but to agree. As a god transformation stage cultivator, the Pavilion Master's sister was well aware of the vast gap between herself and a body integration realm cultivator. Naturally, she didn't plan to assassinate him directly. She crafted a detailed plan to first infiltrate the sect of that body integration realm cultivator, then become his disciple. When he fully trusted her, she would carry out the assassination. To prevent any leak of information, the Pavilion Master's sister had not sent any news during the execution of the task. The assassins were worried but dared not contact her. If that body integration realm cultivator noticed anything, the Pavilion Master's sister would be in grave danger. Just like this, 30 years passed in a blink of an eye. At last, news arrived. The assassins couldn't wait to see what junior sister had said. But why was it a festive card? As soon as the Pavilion Master opened the card, a small memory recording stone fell out. He injected spiritual energy into it, and soon an image of his sister appeared. The once icy cold sister was gone, replaced by a blushing, shy version of her. The Pavilion Master had never seen such an expression on his sister's face. "Big brother, it's been a long time," the sister said sweetly, radiating joy. "I'm going to marry my mentor. You must come." The sister pulled her mentor into the image, a handsome man. It was the target they were supposed to assassinate. Cough. Not only did the Pavilion Master spit out blood, all the Great Assassins also felt heartbroken. The Pavilion Master, who was in the peak body integration realm, grew pale, his spirit somewhat lost. He delegated the management of the Tian Sha Pavilion to the Deputy Pavilion Master and said that he would be semi-retired from today onwards. Before he left one sentence behind. "We're all just trying to make a living here, no need to involve ourselves too heavily." The Deputy Pavilion Master had no interest in the Pavilion Master's sister, he coveted the position of Pavilion Master. Of course, he would not mention that the task from 30 years ago was a coordinated effort between him and that body integration realm cultivator. That cultivator was a renowned womanizer and had desired the Pavilion Master's sister for a long time. The Deputy Pavilion Master, in turn, had coveted the position of Pavilion Master for a long time. Thus, they came to agreement which resulted in this plan. There was the Deputy Pavilion Master's involvement when the Pavilion Master's sister decided to take on the task and came up with the mentorship plan. Becoming a disciple, living alone with a male in a room, why worry about not falling in love with time? But before the Deputy Pavilion Master could savor his victory for long, that Great Assassin, in a hurry, ran in again. "You rush in all panic-stricken, where are your manners?" The Deputy Pavilion Master, wanting to show off his newfound prestige, pretended to be serious. However, this time the Great Assassin didn't have the luxury to feel afraid. He shouted, "Someone has issued a task to kill Zhang, the human emperor." Chapter 69. 4 Plans, A, B, C, D. At this moment, the Deputy Master of Tian Sha Pavilion felt desperate. He thought he might be the last master of Tian Sha Pavilion. Just as the Pavilion Master had always reminded them. "We all are trying to make a living. Don't involve yourself and risk it all." There was a corresponding principle of Tian Sha Pavilion, hanging in the most conspicuous place in the hall. Small-scale business, honest management, no killing of those in the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Who posted the mission? Are you blind? We don't even kill those in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, let alone assassinate Zhang Li, who is in the Mahayana realm. The Deputy Master walked down angrily, with murderous intentions boiling. He wanted to see who dared to post such a suicide mission. Meanwhile, the disguised Zhang Li was talking bitterly. Let me tell you, Zhang Li has committed all sorts of crimes. He loves to insult other people's wives and daughters in public. One of my friend's wife and was treated like this bv him. How many spirit stones would it take to kill Zhang Li, you say? No matter how much you name, I have them all. Zhang Li disguised himself as someone who was tormented by Zhang Li, pulling out top-grade spirit stones continuously, making the assassins drool. This is a big fat sheep. The orders Tian Sha Pavilion has taken didn't have this many spirit stones. If they could kill. Shut up. As soon as the deputy master came downstairs, he heard Zhang Li's outrageous words. Scared out of his wits, who are you to slander the human emperor? You really refuse to take the mission? Zhang Li squinted his eyes and took out more spirit stones. As long as you go to kill Zhang Li, regardless of success or failure, these are all yours. Even the deputy master was stunned by Zhang Li's boldness. Where did this rich guy come from? Did his family have a top-grade spirit stone mine? No, leave. The deputy master hesitated for a moment, then immediately thought back to the immortal artifact appraisal conference where Zhang Li was fighting with all his might, and the immortal artifacts fled, making him shudder. Kill Zhang Li. Tian Sha Pavilion is not Suicide Pavilion. Zhang Li sighed and slowly put the top-grade spirit stones back into the storage ring. His slow movements seemed like a show to the assassins. After Zhang Li left, a gold medal assassin quietly asked the deputy master. Should we take a chance? The deputy master jerked him by the back of his head. Idiot, if we dare assassinate our employer, then the next day the Sky Mechanism Tower would broadcast this news for free. Speaking of Sky Mechanism Tower, the deputy master was angry. How did they have such good luck to get Zhang Li to visit the Sky Mechanism Tower? Why didn't Tian Sha Pavilion have that luck? After leaving Tian Sha Pavilion, Zhang Li deliberately chose to walk in the dark alleyways. He walked for half a day without seeing any assassins getting greedy and trying to rob him. Do assassins have such professional integrity these days? Zhang Li knew it wasn't that easy for Tian Sha Pavilion to agree to kill him. That's why the system's tasks are not easy to accomplish. Zhang Li showed his true face and returned to Tian Sha Pavilion, scaring the deputy master into kneeling down. He thought Zhang Li knew that someone had just posted a mission for his assassination and suspected that Tian Sha Pavilion had accepted the mission. Emperor, as heaven and earth are my witnesses, we at Tian Sha Pavilion would never dare to accept the mission to kill you. You can ask that brat from earlier, we didn't dare take a single spirit stone. Seeing the deputy master ready to bare his heart to prove his innocence, Zhang Li impatiently said. That person earlier was me. I want to experience being assassinated. Go ahead, try to kill me. Hearing Zhang Li say this, the deputy master was even more frightened and shivering. Where would he dare to make a move? Who has ever heard of someone wanting to experience assassination? Zhang Li was clearly looking for an excuse to eradicate Tian Sha Pavilion. Quickly, kill me, Zhang Li shouted sharply, his voice causing a shock. His blood and energy surged. Like a vast ocean, waves surged up. The deputy master, who was in the late stages of body integration realm, felt like he was a small boat, in danger of capsizing at any moment. The deputy master understood the meaning of Zhang Li's words. If he didn't make a move, he would be the one who would die. Having no choice, the deputy master had to take the risk and make a move. He slid into the shadows silently. The gold medal assassins saw the deputy master enter the shadows with their own eyes, but they couldn't find a trace of him, and were secretly scared. So this is the covert assassination of body integration realm. It's terrifying. The deputy master was like a shark, swimming in the shadows under Zhang Li's feet, looking for an opportunity to strike. Suddenly, he noticed Zhang Li drifting off, and he decided to strike. He appeared from behind Zhang Li, trying to cut Zhang Li's neck with a dagger made of shadows. Snap! The dagger broke. Zhang Li was unscathed. The deputy master's strike was unsuccessful. He complied with the assassin's principle, retreated to a distance and stopped trying to make a move. However, there was no hint from the system. Zhang Li looked carefully at the mission. He thought the key might be an evasion, so he emotionlessly commanded. Kill me one more time. The deputy master felt that his courage for a lifetime had been used up with that single attempt. To kill the human emperor, moreover the strongest Zhang Li, bragging about it could get him chased by supporters of the human emperor for a lifetime. It's better to not mention it. Now, hearing Zhang Li's unquestionable command, he had to borrow courage from his next life, and perform the assassination technique again. This time, Zhang Li dodged, but there was still no hint from the system. Zhang Li thought for a moment, then somewhat unhappily asked. Did you not really intend to kill me? The deputy master flattered. What are you saying, Your Majesty? When I tried to kill you, it was truly from the heart. After he said this, he wanted to slap himself twice. He only thought to follow Zhang Li's words without thinking. Can he casually say these words? What if Zhang Li thought he was serious? Zhang Li glanced at him and naturally understood that Deputy Master did not really intend to kill him. It seems that the system requires the assassins of Tian Sha Pavilion to have an intention to assassinate him. Just pretending to assassinate him does not count, this would be difficult. Plan A failed as he couldn't pay to assassinate himself, Plan B failed as he couldn't lure the assassins to kill him with luxuries. Plan C also failed where forcing the assassins to kill him didn't work, then Zhang Li could only execute Plan D. He pretended to leave but was actually invisible and looking over Tian Sha Pavilion's most recent assassination plans. He spotted some familiar names. Assassinate Qin Luan. Note. Early Golden Core Stage. Yuan Wuxing. Note. Early Nascent Soul Stage. Location. Longyuan City in Tianyuan Emperor Dynasty. Suggested dispatch of Level B assassins. Read. Quote. As for the reason for the assassination and who posted the mission, the Tian Sha Pavilion didn't care. Zhang Li couldn't possibly find out from here. Let's go find Yuan Wuxing and see if the assassin will take the opportunity to assassinate me. Isn't Tian Sha Pavilion famous for conveniently killing more than one person? Zhang Li muttered to himself, and this time, he genuinely left Tian Sha Pavilion. We need to spread word about today's events, said the Deputy Master. You mean the news about you trying to assassinate Zhang Li? Asked the gold assassin who was punished before. As expected, he got punished again. Idiot, of course it's about Zhang Li giving us important directions and personally guiding our assassination techniques. The Deputy Master thought for a moment and continued. This is not enough. Sky Mechanism Tower has a painting. We should have one too. Chapter 70. The Human Emperor in Tian Sha Pavilion. But the human Emperor Zhang Li doesn't hold us in a favorable light. Wouldn't it anger him if we just hung his image up without his consent? Figure it out yourself. All I need is the result. The Deputy Pavilion Master said and left without caring whether his subordinate could accomplish the task. A few days later, a painting called The Human Emperor Zhang Li at Tian Sha Pavilion was hung in the center of the hall, attracting countless spectators and even more questioning looks. May I ask, why is only Zhang Konggu dining alone in the Imperial Palace in this painting? Where is the human emperor? He's at the Tian Sha Pavilion. While at the Tian Sha Pavilion assigning tasks, everyone came disguised and whispering to negotiate prices. Suddenly, someone shouted out. Why is my price 50 times higher than others? I'm telling you, I already checked the prices. Killing a golden core stage cultivator doesn't require this much money. The Tian Sha Pavilion is robbing us. This money could kill a nascent soul stage cultivator. Quote. The masked assassin explained, your golden core stage is different, he's from the Great Zhou Dynasty. Everyone knows that the Great Zhou Dynasty family can trace time. Killing someone in the Great Zhou is suicide. If you want to kill, you must lure your target out of the Great Zhou, then you can kill. Even doing so, there is still a high chance of being discovered and retaliated by the Great Zhou. This job is life-risking. The man frowned, he couldn't afford such a high price. After thinking about it, his animosity with the other party didn't seem so big, so he abandoned the commission. The assassin wasn't surprised by this. The Great Zhou Emperor Dynasty was a forbidden area for assassins, even for them at the Tian Sha Pavilion. They were reluctant to step into it and set a ridiculously high price. The high price was partly because of the difficulty, and partly to frighten off the potential commissioners with the high cost. The assassins of the Tian Sha Pavilion always did their jobs meticulously, they didn't rush into their assignment as soon as they received it. Instead, they evaluated the target's power repeatedly to ensure it was stable and studied their living habits, environment, cultivation techniques, etc. Only then did they execute their assignments. Qin Luan and his disciples wouldn't face assassination right away, and Zhang Li wouldn't rush into it either. He had other matters to handle first. To find a home for the unsettled immortal artifacts. On the way, Zhang Li warned them that anyone who dared to escape would be thrown back into the furnace for reshaping. Considering Zhang Li's prior harsh treatment and his mysterious way of capturing them, the immortal artifacts dared not to escape and quickly agreed. Zhang Li first returned the Great Confucian word post back to Confucianism. Confucianism was suppressing a group of disobedient spiritual treasures at the time, showing them Confucian scriptures, trying to prove the correctness of all beings can be taught. Seeing the Great Confucian word post return, Dong Zhongshu was overjoyed and showed the other spiritual treasures how a qualified spiritual treasure cultivated by Confucianism is supposed to behave. God damn it, who wants to hear this crap? I'm tired of listening to Dong Zongshu. The Great Confucian word post spouted, and the spiritual treasures seem to learn cursing much faster than other teachings, taking the Great Confucian word post as their role model. Dong Zongshu almost fainted when he heard the Great Confucian word post cursing the founder of Confucianism. But since the Great Confucian word post holds a prestigious position as the founder's immortal artifact, Dong Zongshu couldn't punish it, or it would breach the hierarchy order that Confucianism advocates. So, Dong Zongshu could only suppress his anger. Seeing such harmony in Confucianism, Zhongli felt assured and went overseas. Both the Four Seas and Penglai Fairy Island are located on the other side of the Jojo continent, which also has a sun. Hence it's full of life, with shrimps, crabs, fish and flood dragons occasionally leaping out of the sea. There's no terrifying pressure on the side of the Jojo continent as well, so cultivators can visit the Four Seas freely. Upon arriving at the Four Seas, Zhongli discovered it was much quieter than before, with only a few low-level shrimp and crab soldiers guarding the place. The high-level monsters were nowhere to be found. The Penglai Fairy Island was under threat. The previous island lord, with the Mount Heshan stone, often bullied the Four Sea Dragon Palace, forcing the four dragon kings to swallow their tears in silence. They all had immortal artifacts, yet why couldn't they defeat the Mount Heshan stone? Thus, after the immortal artifacts left the world, the Four Sea Dragon Kings decided to seek revenge by attacking Penglai Fairy Island together. All of them were neighbors, and they didn't want to bully the island, just to have it surrender, and acknowledge who was the real lord of the Four Seas. This day would be the first step in monsters defeating humans. Island Lord Mo, the Dragon King asked me to send you a message. The Turtle Chancellor called to the Island Lord. As long as you surrender, the benefits will be immense. What are the benefits? The beautiful Island Lord asked expressionlessly. At this moment, the Turtle Chancellor rejoiced and said. The Dragon Kings said that if you fancy any of them, they are willing to marry into Penglai Fairy Island without resistance. The Island Lord was silent for a moment, recalled the dragon-headed human-bodied Dragon Kings, and pulled out a sword emitting a chilling light. Fight, it's either life or death. We won't show mercy to even flowers. After the negotiation broke down, the four Dragon Kings from the east, south, west, and north transformed into their original forms. Four-clawed dragons rose from the sea that were 10,000 meters long, immediately changing the color of the heaven and earth, with thunder resounding. The huge dragons hung in the air, naturally forming a wave-like shape which was both fierce and beautiful, inspiring both awe and yearning in observers. Even more so, billions of densely packed shrimp soldiers and crab generals filled the sea surface. The Island Lord Mo stood on the edge of the cliff, letting the roaring sea waves beat against the rocks below. She was just quietly confronting the four real dragons. Clearly, Penglai Fairy Island was at a disadvantage, but the Island Lord Mo still overwhelmed the Four Sea Dragon Kings in terms of momentum. Let's get her together, guys. I look down upon anyone who holds back. Island Lord Mo suddenly shouted, catching the Four Sea Dragon Kings off guard. The Dragon Kings exchanged glances. Why be reluctant? This was a rare opportunity to take Island Lord Mo as their wife. Attack. Just as the Dragon Kings were building up their courage for a full-scale attack, an ill-timed coughing sound traveled, sounding especially clear amid the noise of dragon roars, sea waves, wind, and clamor. Ahem, I've found the immortal artifacts. Who wants them? The Four Sea Dragon Kings grabbed the four Dragon Balls and ran. Seeing their Dragon Kings run away, the shrimp soldiers and crab generals scattered and fled in every direction. Island Lord Mo laughed and took back the Mount Heshan stone, chasing after the Dragon Kings. The Four Seas began bustling with life like before. In the end, Zhongli came to the palace of the Emperor of Heaven Origin, intending to return the magic gourd to the Empress of Heaven Origin, before going to find Yuan Wuxing and the others. Yu Yin, I've brought back the gourd of your Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. Zhongli, who had known Empress Yu Yin for a long time and were once candidates for becoming the human emperor, had a good relationship and could address each other by name. Zhongli found the Empress of Heaven Origin looking pale and listless, lying in the palace with several maids tending to her, which was far removed from her former imperial dominance. What happened? Zhongli frowned, seeing that the Empress of Heaven Origin was pretending to be sick. Empress Yu Yin dismissed the maids, leaving her alone with Zhongli. After the maids left, the Empress of Heaven Origin stopped pretending and returned to her usual majestic presence, often making people overlook her melodious and crisp voice. Someone is plotting a rebellion, so I'm giving them a chance. Chapter 71, The Empress of Sky Yuan. The Tianyuan Empress, Yu Yin, was born in an ordinary family. However, her exceptional beauty and extraordinary talent since young caught the eye of the Crown Prince of Heaven origin. He selected her as his Crown Princess consort, fed her many heavenly treasures, and intended to groom her as a candidate for the human emperor. It was well known that Empress Yu was the Crown Princess consort selected to become the human emperor by the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. The human emperor wasn't chosen by someone ordinary, but by the 9 provinces' earth veins. The 9 provinces' earth veins naturally ignored Yu Yin's identity, hence she managed to become a candidate for the human emperor. Her talent among the candidates for the human emperor was outstanding, and she had high chances of becoming the human emperor. However, there was the formidable Zhang Li among the candidates, and she was destined to be merely outshone by him. Knowing her inability to surpass Zhang Li to become the human emperor, she took the initiative to withdraw from the competition and return to the Crown Prince's side when she had already reached the body integration realm. The Crown Prince was furious with Yu Yin's decision. He was indifferent of whether or not she could surpass Zhang Li. All he knew was that he could obtain a wife who could potentially become the human emperor and manipulate her as he pleased. It gave him a sense of conquest. Now, he lost that opportunity. The Crown Prince thought that as Yu Yin was once from a small family, he could still bully her as he used to. Ever since the day Yu Yin became the Crown Princess consort, she had been beaten and scolded by the Crown Prince, who still thought he could treat her the same way. Yu Yin resisted, and her resistance infuriated the Crown Prince. The two ended up in a fight and the Crown Prince, who was also at the body integration realm, was killed by Yu Yin after a brief exchange of less than 10 moves. If it wasn't for Zhang Li, Yu Yin would probably be the human emperor. Even Bai Hongtu lacked the confidence to overcome her. When the Emperor of Heaven origin learned about the death of his son, he was furious. He invoked the national destiny into battle to eliminate this treacherous woman. With the national destiny enhancing the Emperor of Heaven origin to the Transcendence Tribulation stage, it was improbable for Yu Yin to triumph. However, contrary to everyone's expectations, the Ruyi gourd broke free from the control of the royal family and ended up in Yu Yin's hands. With the immortal artifact in her hands, after a fierce battle, Yu Yin killed the Emperor of Heaven origin, ascended the throne, and became the Tianyuan Empress. Some members of the imperial family are not giving up yet. They are reminiscing about the glorious past and are hoping to rally some external forces to overthrow me now that I have lost the Ruyi gourd. I saw them being hesitant and was unable to decide on a plan, so I pretended to show signs of falling into madness, luring them to strike first. Zhang Li fell silent for a moment before asking, "Are you planning to use this opportunity to break through the body integration realm?" Given that 300 years have passed, it was anticipated that Yu Yin would be at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, as with Zhang Li who had reached the Mahayana realm and Bai Hongtu who had reached the Transcendence Tribulation stage. However, the national destiny was both a blessing and a restriction. It increased the intangible resistance to cultivation when carried. Yu Yin got out of bed, her snow-white silk stockings stepped onto the ground, light as a feather, without making a sound. She sat at the table, without withholding anything from Zhang Li. Yes, there is great fear and opportunity in life and death. If I continue to live a mundane life, I'm unsure when I can break through the body integration realm. You hold on to the Ruyi gourd for now. If I still hold on to it, it won't be considered a life and death challenge. It's only when I have nowhere to retreat that it truly becomes a life and death test. So, if I lose at that time, you just watch me die without lending a hand, or else I would hate you for the rest of my life. Zhang Li knew about Yu Yin's character, hence he said, "The rest of the immortal artifacts have also been retrieved by me, but not many people know about it. I will inform them, but ask them to keep it a secret for now." Yu Yin slightly raised the corners of her mouth and showed a gentle smile, making her appear exceptionally beautiful. "Master, I missed you so much." The Ruyi gourd flew out from Zhang Li's waist and pounced towards Yu Yin. There were too many immortal artifacts back then. If I did not pretend to be furious, they would not let me off. "Please forgive me, Master." Yu Yin stepped on the Ruyi gourd with her foot, and her jade foot covered by soft white stockings caused the gourd to roll back and forth. She then kicked the gourd to Zhang Li. "Keep an eye on it, don't let it take action either. There is another matter. Consider it as a favor," Yu Yin said seriously. "If those people find out that you are in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, they will be cautious about the relationship between us and will not dare to act. Can you please tell them that you are going to other worlds to look for immortal artifacts, and that you will be gone for at least a few months?" "I can." After Zhang Li left, a few palace maids quickly went to take care of Yu Yin in her palace, and subtly inquired about what Zhang Li had said. Yu Yin pretended not to see through the thoughts of the maids and casually mentioned that Zhang Li was going to leave the 9 provinces for a few months, as well as expressing her own desire to see different worlds. Once one of the maids got the information, she served Yu Yin for a while before passing on the message. Longyan City is not far from the capital of the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. It is a prosperous city under the rule of an entity at the divinity transformation stage. 2 men and a woman felt somewhat helpless about the current situation. "I'm sorry. If it weren't for me, you could have left here a long time ago," said Song Ying, her eyes red, clearly having cried once. Qin Luan frowned. He didn't like to see others cry, especially Song Ying. Angrily, he said, "The Long family is unreasonable, abducting women by force. We only did the right thing by helping out. It's a pity that in such a big Longyan City, no one else dares to step forward. I warned you both early on. It's good to gain experience in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, but you need to consider the repercussions of taking actions. We could have dealt with the 3rd young master of the Long family secretly. There was no need to confront him publicly." Yuan Wuxing, as Qin Luan's master, hoped that Qin Luan and Song Ying would learn a lesson from this incident. Qin Luan and Yuan Wuxing came to the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, the most chaotic of the human empires, for experience, and Song Ying followed Qin Luan here. Growing up in the stable and orderly Great Zhou, Qin Luan and Song Ying were shocked with the chaos in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. The people here worshipped strength to the extreme. The local government of Longyan City was only a major power. There were also millennia-old families like the Long family that held a status that rivaled the city lord and often overrode the government's power and wreaked havoc. The 3rd young master of the Long family openly abducted other people's wives and daughters, and no one dared to intervene. If this were in the Great Zhou, this young master would have been imprisoned for as long as he lived. Through empathy, Qin Luan and Song Ying belittled the Golden Core Stage 3rd young master of the Long family and his henchmen with their prowess of the Foundation establishment peak. Furthermore, Longyan City often held large competitions. Qin Luan was attracted by the rewards, participated in the competition, met the 3rd young master of the Long family again, disregarded his threats, directly crippled him, and comfortably achieved core formation. The 3rd young master of the Long family had never suffered such humiliation. That night, he sent a Yuan Wuxing guest elder to kill Qin Luan and intended to take Song Ying, who was rather attractive, as his concubine. Who would have expected that Qin Luan and Song Ying were backed by Yuan Wuxing, a nascent soul stage cultivator, who prevailed against the veteran nascent soul guest elder. Knowing that they couldn't keep provoking them and eventually alerting the divinity transformation ancestor of the Long family, Qin Luan, Song Ying, and Yuan Wuxing made plans to leave. However, the Long family was the local overlord, so leaving was easier said than done. "It seems you 3 have been through a lot," Zhang Li said laughingly as he opened the door and walked in. Chapter 72, Hostage. Zhang, the human emperor. Even though his appearance has changed, the 3 recognized Yang's voice from his tone and voice. "How did you get here? I heard you guys have caught the attention of Tian Sha Pavilion, just came to enjoy the show." Zhang chuckled. Dragon family has sent assassins to kill us." All 3 were shocked, they didn't think the Dragon family would be so relentless. "It's you 2 they're after, nothing to do with Song Ying." Zhang corrected. It was clear to the 3 of them that the Dragon family intended to kill the master and apprentice and take advantage of Song Ying. "So, how did you guys manage to upset the locals?" Zhang asked, showing a keen interest. Yuan Wuxing recounted the entire situation from the perspective of a bystander, with Qin Luan and Song Ying occasionally adding a few words. "Now the Dragon family is guarding around Longyan City planning to assassinate us. I can, of course, escape, but I'm not confident about protecting Qin Luan and Song Ying. The elder of Dragon family at the divinity transformation stage won't bother with this small matter. The Dragon family can only dispatch a nascent soul cultivator to forcefully kill us. They are worried that I'll drag a nascent soul stage follower with me to death, making it an unjustifiable loss. We and the Dragon family are both caught in a dilemma. I was thinking about their next move, I didn't expect them to send an assassin." Actually, as soon as Yuan Wuxing started, Zhang could guess most of it. It was the same old story, the Dragon family forcibly abducting a woman, a young man standing up against the injustice, the conflict eventually escalating. "You guys, you're too honest, you can't break the habits of Zhou dynasty. The Dragon family issue can be easily resolved." Zhang laughed. "The Tianyuan Emperor dynasty runs on its own rules, the strong are respected, play low tricks, forget about reason and learn to adapt. You are the human emperor, you have absolute power, of course you would fear nothing." Qin Luan, unhappy, stated, only to be admonished by Yuan Wuxing. Zhang was not annoyed. So let's run an experiment. I'm currently Huang Li, your friend from Zhou Dynasty, just like you, completed the Golden Core stage. Quote. As Zhang spoke, the unfathomable feeling disappeared. To bystanders, he would appear just as an ordinary cultivator. Yuan Wuxing perceived him as a Golden Core cultivator, and his Golden Core was full, the grade was not low, ranking among the top 3 of the Golden Core stage, but he could not determine the exact rank. That was something only a cultivator at the divinity transformation stage could do. Watch how I do it. Zhang, indeed, only used the power at the Golden Core stage and didn't use any techniques that surpassed the power of Golden Core stage, such as Divine Sense. Where does the third son of the dragon family usually make an appearance? After thinking for a moment, Qin Luan said, injury caused by me should have left him bedridden, but considering the dragon family's wealth, he should have already been healed by the spirit pills. He's either roaming around the market, bullying people and dominating women, or he's somewhere competing in a contest area. That's where I bumped into him, publicly abducting women. Zhang nodded. Then head to the market to check it out. Wuxing, as an elder at the nascent soul stage, you can trail behind us. Being referred to as an elder by Zhang greatly shocked Yuan Wuxing. Zhang then descended the stairs, followed by Qin Luan and Song Ying, with Yuan Wuxing secretly following them. Don't forget your veil, Qin Luan reminded Song Ying, knowing that she was attractive and that could easily stir up trouble in this city of Longyan. At first, he lacked experience, but after the troubles with the dragon family, Qin Luan realized the necessity to stay low profile. Song Ying gently veiled half her face in white, then used the shadow created by her wide-brimmed straw hat to cover the other half, hence she wouldn't catch anyone's attention. That said, why did Song Ying come here? Did you come across Qin Luan by chance in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty? Zhang puzzled. Although the reality was far from Yang's conjecture, Song Ying was not in favor of telling the truth, for she was, in fact, following Qin Luan's footsteps to the chaotic Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, so she was forced to agree. I see. All this time I thought that you liked me and followed me here. Qin Luan was taken aback. After the trip to the mysterious secret realm, he thought that Song Ying had developed feelings for him. However, it now seemed like he had overthought. Song Ying smiled at Zhang, revealing nothing about clenching her little fist hidden in her sleeve, ready to strike. Currently, Zhang was at the Golden Core stage and didn't use his divine sense, hence, he couldn't see the fist Song Ying had concealed inside her sleeve. Upon arriving at the bustling market, the voices of street vendors ringing through the area, the scene was lively. Zhang had been round and about for several rounds but didn't come across a scene of men bullying or dominating women. However, there was plenty of thievery and counterfeit products. It was a wonder how Qin Luan and Song Ying managed to stumble across a girl being forced upon the moment they arrived. It seems the third son of the dragon family is not around here. By the way, what's his name? Dragon San Shui. He has 2 older brothers, Dragon Da Jin and Dragon Huo. The dragon family is pretty cultured, they even know about gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. Yes, when I first heard how the dragon family named their children, I thought my master was Dragon San Shui's father. Qin Luan replied while nodding his head repeatedly, then he felt a kick from Yuan Wuxing lurking from behind. Dragon San Shui was indeed on a contest stage, in high spirits. Just recovered from a severe illness, he needed a good vent. So, he had a contest stage set up. These are 10 medium-grade spirit stones, who is willing to come up here and get beaten up by me? Dragon San Shui stood in the middle of the stage and looked invincible. Zhang could tell that this guy's power at the Foundation establishment stage was all built up by pills, he would be useless at the Golden Core stage for the rest of his life. But who said the dragon family didn't have money? Here, a cultivator, also at the late stage of Foundation establishment, climbed onto the stage. His fundamentals were deep, much stronger than Dragon San Shui. However, this cultivator was quickly overwhelmed by Dragon San Shui's messy attacks. Eventually, he fell to the floor, got a good beating from Dragon San Shui. Splendid. Dragon San Shui looked satisfied. He threw the spirit stones at the cultivator, telling him to get off the stage. This is like buying a punching bag with spirit stones. Qin Luan murmured. Here are 20 mid-grade spirit stones, who is willing to come up and get beaten up by me? Dragon San Shui took out more spirit stones. People knew the more stones they received, the worse they would get beaten up. Despite this, many people were willing to go on stage. Me, I can take a beating. I shouted the loudest. I'm a Golden Core cultivator. Among the clamor, Yang's voice rang out the loudest. Everyone turned around in shock. His presence as a golden core cultivator amidst the Foundation establishment cultivators was surprising. Since a golden core cultivator was available as a punching bag, Dragon San Shui naturally chose Zhang. I have a condition, Zhang said as he went up on the stage. Give me the spirit stones first. Dragon San Shui, without any hesitation, threw the spirit stones directly at Zhang, not worried that Zhang would run away with the money. There were followers of the nascent soul stage nearby. Zhang, as a golden core cultivator, couldn't do much. Zhang held onto the bag of spirit stones for a moment, then threw it back to Dragon San Shui. Dragon San Shui caught the spirit stone bag, a puzzled look on his face. Since for 20 spirit stones a golden core cultivator is willing to get beaten up heartily, naturally, a Foundation establishment cultivator can also get beaten up by a golden core cultivator for the same price. It's quite reasonable, don't you think? As Zhang was laughing and reasoning, he fiercely rushed forward, got close to Dragon San Shui and started attacking violently. Stop! The nascent soul cultivator reacted and was filled with rage, set on killing Zhang. Zhang held onto Dragon San Shui's pressure point and hid behind him, like a hostage. If you dare attack me, I will kill him. Let's see whose life is worth more, mine or the third son of the dragon family. Chapter 73. Golden Core Stage Methods. Fellow Taoist, don't act rashly. Just state your demands. With a hostage in hand, the nascent soul cultivator dared not attack. I am Huang Li, a friend of Qin Luan. I heard your dragon clan wants to harm him. I am not particularly skilled, but I am fearless, and anyone who dares bully my friend, I will kill. Zhang Li's ferocity was obvious to all, marking him as a desperate man. The nascent soul cultivator cursed internally, clearly seeing Zhang Li as a golden core stage cultivator with a top-grade golden core. How could such a person be willing to throw his life away? But he didn't dare to bet against it, instead leaving Zhang Li to state his demands. You must compensate my brother Qin Luan with 10 top-grade spirit stones. 10. Impossible. The nascent soul cultivator immediately rejected the demand, unafraid of Zhang Li turning hostile. Zhang Li laughed. Your powerful clansmen usually give the younger generation a life-saving charm, which can save you from death, but not from injury. Zhang Li casually broke one of Dragon San Shui's fingers. The pampered Dragon San Shui had never experienced such pain, and tears streamed down his face as he wailed loudly. No one in the vicinity felt sorry for Dragon San Shui, instead, they found it satisfying. Dragon San Shui had committed all kinds of atrocities and caused many families to break apart. Today he was finally receiving his just desserts. Well deserved. Seeing that the broken finger was dangling in an unsightly manner, Zhang Li, considering aesthetics, took out his dagger and cut it off. Zhang Li kindly said, does the esteemed nascent soul cultivator think that the third son of the dragon clan is not worth this much? Look, now he has lost a part of him, so I'll only ask for 9 top-grade spirit stones. If you still think it's expensive, the third prince still has 9 fingers and 10 toes, Zhang Li stated boldly. Cultivator, how many spirit stones do you want to offer? 5 top-grade spirit stones? Or only 1? If you have any grudges against the dragon clan, just say so. I'll take revenge on your behalf and make sure none of the third prince's fingers and toes remain. Deep in his heart, the nascent soul follower lamented that he had no enmity with the dragon clan but was being treated like he did by Zhang Li. Out with it, isn't it just 10 top-grade spirit stones? Give him. Dragon San Shui was furious, feeling that the follower sent by his father was useless and indecisive, causing him to lose a finger. When he got back, he swore he'd ask the ancestor to kill him. Fool, this Huang Li is clearly making a ridiculous demand. If such outrageous requests were granted, he would only ask for more. Isn't it just a broken finger? A single pill can regrow it. What's there to scream about? Alright, here are 10 top-grade spirit stones. The nascent soul follower threw the bag of spirit stones onto the ground, hoping Zhang Li would bend down to pick it up. Without even looking, Zhang Li continued. Swear to the heavenly Tao that you won't attack us and will let us leave the city. Dragon San Shui and the nascent soul follower chuckled to themselves. Not attack you. We've already posted a bounty on you in Tian Sha Pavilion, let's see how long you can jump around. But outwardly, both of them solemnly swore an oath as required. Zhang Li picked up the bag, confirmed it contained 10 top-grade spirit stones, and then released Dragon San Shui. Hiding behind the follower, Dragon San Shui furiously glared at Zhang Li. Zhang Li didn't care at all and went on to rendezvous with Qin Luan and Song Ying who were waiting at a distance. This we can really leave now. Qin Luan was taken aback by Zhang Li's actions, never expecting that he would solve the situation through such violent means. Song Ying was also surprised that the protector of Jojo could showcase such violence. I used to do such things when I was at the Golden Core stage. It was only after I grew stronger over the last few centuries that I became more restrained. Zhang Li smiled, explaining without any embarrassment about his past. The matter is not over, the Dragon Clan issue isn't resolved yet. Zhang Li, along with the two, headed to the city lord's mansion. He pulled out the bag of newly acquired spirit stones and a letter. He handed them to the gatekeeper, asking him to deliver the letter to the city lord. As for the spirit stones, Zhang Li didn't say anything, but the gatekeepers understood implicitly. The gatekeepers each took a top-grade spirit stone for themselves while keeping the rest to deliver to the chief steward along with the letter, which was to be given to the city lord. Aren't you afraid they'll just take the spirit stones and won't do anything? Song Ying asked since Zhang Li's approach wouldn't work in the Great Zhou dynasty. By giving them top-grade spirit stones, it reveals my status and capability of reaching the upper echelons. If by chance this matter came up when meeting the chief steward of the city lord's mansion, the stewards will make things difficult for these two men for failing to get any spirit stones. Therefore, they won't dare to gamble, nor is there any necessity. Those gatekeepers are greedy, but not foolish. What did you write in the letter? Zhang Li took out a dagger. It's poisoned. It won't be lethal, but it will be extremely uncomfortable. The poison seeps into the meridians, causing an unbearable itch that can lead to unconscious scratching, breaking the skin. However, it only affects those below the foundation establishment stage, and those with a solid foundation can cleanse themselves. Seeing that Qin Luan and Song Ying became nervous after hearing about the poison, Zhang Li assuaged their anxiety. The poison can't be neutralized with any medicinal pill, but only through divine sense scans of one's body and meticulous removal. Moreover, nascent soul stage cultivators lack the precision and only divinity transformation. Stage cultivators can do this. Will the Dragon Clan's ancestor really deal with something like this? Song Ying couldn't understand why Zhang Li was so confident. After the dispute between them and the Dragon Clan escalated, the Dragon Clan's ancestor never intervened. Among the Dragon Clan's 3 princes, have you ever heard that the eldest and second princes often oppress men and dominate women? I've heard they rarely do. They are too busy cultivating and don't have time for such things. Dragon San Shui, as the youngest son, was spoiled by his parents, hence he became lawless. It's normal for his father, the clan leader, to grovel and bleed before the ancestor, begging for help when his son suffers, isn't it? Zhang Li put it matter-of-factly. A divinity transformation stage cultivator eliminating this poison needs to concentrate fully and cannot be disturbed. Otherwise, it will backlash. However, recovery can happen quickly. Therefore, I told the city lord in the letter to find a way to distract the Dragon Clan's ancestor, seize the opportunity when he experiences the backlash, and get rid of the Dragon Clan's ancestor. Will the city lord really do that? Song Ying asked. I put a bit of the poison on the letter. He will know whether it's real or fake after testing it. As a divinity transformation stage cultivator, the city lord should be able to rule over the entire city without restrictions, but the presence of the Dragon Clan makes him feel like there's something stuck in his throat. As the saying goes, there can't be 2 tigers on one mountain, and a city can't accommodate 2 divinity transformation stage cultivators. As long as he gets an opportunity, even if I were to cheat him, he wouldn't lose anything. It's a sure win with no risk. There's no reason for him not to proceed. Although this poison has an incubation period of more than 10 days, Dragon San Shui will have an early onset because he will take lifeblood pills to regrow his limb, which will stimulate the poison's effect earlier. Qin Luan followed Zhang Li's train of thought and added. Because he'll ingest the lifeblood kind of medicinal pill to regenerate his limbs, causing the poison to act sooner. Sounds like you've caught on. Zhang Li brought Qin Luan and Song Ying to the restaurant with the best view in town, asking Yuan Wuxing to show up as well, getting ready for the show. A loud roar echoed in Longyan City. Old Mr. Dragon, I hope you'll pardon my late-night visit. At the same time, assassins from the Tian Sha Pavilion surrounded the 4. Chapter 74. The host's strength is weak, please focus on cultivating. Mozang, what are you doing here? The dragon family's ancestor flew out of the secret room, his face ruddy and eyes full of spirit, squinting at Mozang, the city lord of Longyan City. Haha, nothing much, I just had some insights into the Tao and wanted to discuss it with someone. Unfortunately, among all the people in Longyan City, only you and I are divinity transformation cultivators. Who else should I ask but you? Mozang laughed. As the old rival of the dragon family's ancestor, he could clearly see the latter's forced composure. Mozang drew out a large axe and swung it towards the dragon family's ancestor's head. The dragon family's ancestor, as Zhongli had predicted, had been fully focused in the secret chamber, treating Dragon San Shui, and had also set up a soundproof array. However, he was thrown into panic and injured when Mozang shouted deliberately loud, thus disturbing his focus. This bastard came prepared. The dragon family's ancestor knew there was no point in pretending to be calm in the face of Mozang's clear malice. Now he had no choice but to fight. In the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, showing even a hint of fatigue would give your opponent the chance to pounce and bite hard. Take this, mighty divine axe, first move. Take this, mighty divine axe, second move. Take this, mighty divine axe, third move. Aren't these the same old moves? What happened to your claimed insights? When did I ever tell the truth? Mozang swung his axe, going all out on the attack, intent on killing the dragon family's ancestor tonight to take sole control of Longyan City. Go, big brother Mozang. Today we will finish off this old dragon head. The mighty divine axe was hollering excitedly. Meanwhile, as the two divinity transformation cultivators engaged in fierce battle, the B and C class assassins from Tian Sha Pavilion made their move, killing the 3 men and 1 woman who were just watching the spectacle. Buy 2 get 2 free, assassins from Tian Sha Pavilion have always been generous. Zhongli easily avoided the attack from the Class C assassin and killed him in return. Congratulations to the host for completing the task. Congratulations to the host for unlocking the special mission. Find the fragments of the Ascension to Immortality staircase. After waiting for a while, Zhongli noticed that there was no movement from the system. Where's the Ascension to Immortality fragments mission? Release it. Due to safety concerns given the host's relatively weak strength, please cultivate patiently. The special task. Find the fragments of the Ascension to Immortality staircase, will be released after you become stronger. What level am I now? Mahayana realm. Am I weak? No. Then release the mission. Due to safety concerns given the host's relatively weak strength, please cultivate patiently. The special task. Find the fragments of the Ascension to Immortality staircase, will be released after you become stronger. The system responded as Zhongli had expected. He guessed that the system was made of 2 parts. One part included functions like the store and teleportation, which could be used freely. The other part involved the release of tasks, which followed a preset trajectory. That is, the system thought he was in the Flame Calendar 4300 year, not Flame Calendar 4800 year. From the viewpoint of task release, this dumb system still thought he was in the Foundation establishment stage. After calmly analyzing the situation, Zhongli felt that he should express his anger. This was a matter of principle. Damn it, trashy system. In order to vent some steam, Zhongli casually slapped the annoying assassin dead. Yuan Wuxing was still being chased by a B-level assassin, running around in a panic. He had never experienced assassination before. If not for Zhongli's warning, he wasn't even sure if he could have dodged the initial assassination attack. Seeing that Zhongli was just standing there and not offering any help, Yuan Wuxing realized that this was a test to help him grow through experiencing an assassination attempt. Yes, Zhongli was purposely training him and hence left the assassin alive. Look at how Zhongli directly killed the Class C assassin, he did not give Qinluan a chance to grow. Heh, sorry disciple, clearly Zhongli still believes that I am the best candidate for the human emperor. With these thoughts, Yuan Wuxing secretly gathered strength, planning to kill the assassin. Then he saw Zhongli taking action and slapping the assassin dead. Yuan Wuxing's buildup of power was not released, and he almost got internal injuries from holding it in. At this point, the dragon family's ancestor was gradually weakening. He sternly threatened Mozang. I have the support of a powerful general behind me. If you dare kill me, the general will not let you off. The high-ranking general of the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty is a notorious cultivator at body integration realm named Che Wu, who is known for his brash and unpredictable nature. No one dared to provoke him. Ha, as if everyone else doesn't have backers of their own. Mozang was not intimidated by the dragon family's ancestor threats. Nobody could become a city lord in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty without having some connections with influential people in the imperial city. I know a secret about General Che Wu. If you spare me, I will tell you this secret. Nonsense. Mozang didn't pay any attention to dragon family's ancestor and again initiated the mighty divine axe moves, splitting the dragon family's ancestor in 2. He was not focused on fighting and was busy with various distractions. He even tried to renegotiate during the battle, he deserved to be killed by me. Still not feeling reassured, he swung his axe a few more times, reducing the other party to a bloody pulp, and then burnt him to ashes with a fire before he finally felt secure. Since they have such a big influence that this city is named after the dragon family, now that the old guy is dead, isn't it time to rename the city? Mozang was contemplating a new name. How about just Yin City? The mighty divine axe suggested. Yin City sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? Then how about mighty divine axe city? Yin City doesn't sound bad. With the death of their ancestor, the dragon family lost their pillar of support. Their enemies, who once feared the divinity transformation ancestor, did not dare to take revenge. Now that the dragon family was like a carriage headed towards a cliff, there were no chances for survival. If they didn't take revenge now, they would never have the chance again. Even if they just looted the gates, it would be enough for a lifetime. The dragon family was like a dead beast, its meaty and bloody scent attracting countless ants. This was surely a restless night for everyone. Except for the dragon family, they would begin their eternal rest from tonight and wouldn't be waking up anymore. Huff huff dad, Brother L will definitely avenge you. Dragon San Shui was panting as he ran. Even though he was slow, he understood that tonight's event was a trap and the cause was himself. Huang Li, he was certain it was this man. Maybe Huang Li was not Qin Luan's friend at all, but an agent sent by City Lord Mozang to trap the dragon family. Huang Li, I will definitely avenge this. Dragon San Shui silently vowed. The seeds of resentment slowly took root and began to sprout. Dragon San Shui, being the favorite of his father, the head of the family, had a higher grade replacement charm than others. The others' charms could only block one lethal attack, whereas Dragon San Shui's charm could teleport him to a safe place after he sustained a lethal hit. He was now heading for the place that his ancestor had told him about. There was a possibility of taking revenge there. Zhang Li's position in the restaurant was very high, so he could clearly see the events happening in the dragon family and also the direction in which Dragon San Shui was escaping. He rose to his feet and swooped towards Dragon San Shui's direction. Let's teach you another lesson today. If the grass is not removed at the roots, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows. Quote. Chapter 75. The Power of Divine Concealment. The founder of the dragon family had once informed the family leader that if the dragon family was in danger, they must go to a specific place. An organization would provide you with support there. As long as you join the organization, you will have the chance to revive the dragon family. The dragon family leader also passed this information to his 3 sons. It's close, nearly there. Just when Dragon San Shui was preparing to let his guard down, a voice resounded in his ear. Third young master, you've run for so long, take a rest. Have some water. Zhang Li kindly reminded Dragon San Shui and offered him a gourd, terrifying Dragon San Shui to the point that he stumbled and fell to the ground. Hey, when did I ever give him water? The Ruyi gourd spat unhappily. Zhang Li had admonished it earlier not to speak at random, but there weren't many people around at the moment. Qin Luan and his companions were her allies, and this dragon fellow wasn't going to live long. That thing should be able to speak now, shouldn't it? Ever since the spiritual treasure gained sentience, the fact that spiritual treasures could speak wasn't a new phenomenon, so Qin Luan and his companions didn't find it odd. Of course, they'd definitely show a different reaction if they knew that this was the immortal instrument Ruyi gourd. You're all so persistent. Upon seeing Zhang Li, Dragon San Shui lost his desire for revenge, praying that they would spare him his life if he attempted to plead for mercy. Referring to us as persistent spirits sounds quite unpleasant. It's more like persistent good spirits. Zhang Li corrected him seriously. Our dragon family is already decimated. Please show mercy and spare my life. I promise to turn over a new leaf and devote the rest of my life to doing good. Zhang Li turned his head and asked. You all heard that, right? He said that he wants to turn over a new leaf. In that case, Song Ying was confused by Zhang Li's words. Was he planning to let this guy off? Qin Luan nodded. Since he wants to start anew, reincarnation is inevitable. It seems that young Master Dragon is prepared to die. Let's oblige him. That's not what I meant. Dragon San Shui quickly denied. All of you, the saying goes, spare the helpless when possible. Even though I couldn't help the old founder of the dragon family, as the last descendant of the dragon family, we should spare him. An elusive voice echoed in a bone-chilling tone from all directions. Yuan Wuxing was on high alert. He immediately began surveying his surroundings but found no other human presence. When he turned his head, an old man stood beside Dragon San Shui. A god transformation stage cultivator. Are you the representative of the organization that the old founder told me about? Dragon San Shui was overjoyed as if he had found his savior. The old dragon leader has given me many human tokens, which have been of considerable help to the organization. As the sole survivor of the dragon family, you can not only join our organization but also make one request, as long as it's within my capacity. The old man replied kindly, looking benign and well-intentioned. Then, please kill these people. Dragon San Shui pointed towards Zhong Li and his group. The old man shook his head. These people have seen me and are bound to die. You can make another request. Dragon San Shui's face was filled with resentment, his eyes bloodshot. I have no other requests, just please leave them half dead. I want to kill them with my own hands. That can be done, the old man casually agreed. A nascent soul beginner, 2 golden core beginners, and 1 at the foundation establishment stage, altogether were not even enough for him to deal with single-handedly. Yuan Wuxing was on edge. Facing a god transformation cultivator, no matter how good he was in battle, he couldn't possibly protect Qin Luan, Song Ying, and Huang Li. Wait a minute, something seemed off. Did someone not need his protection? Qin Luan looked curiously at Zhong Li, eager to see what Huang Li, a golden core cultivator, would do under such circumstances. After all, he didn't have a solution himself. However, far from his expectations, Zhong Li displayed a 100-foot-tall body incorporation, which was powerful and ferocious. He killed Dragon San Shui and heavily wounded the old man in a single attack. That your move just now didn't look like a golden core cultivator's. Song Ying timidly reminded Zhong Li. Oh, actually you don't know. There is a soul of a great completion stage powerhouse in my ring which can boost my power temporarily in crucial moments, Zhong Li explained. I didn't want to use it unless necessary. This is my trump card. But under the special circumstances today, I have to reveal my trump card. Quote. You must keep it a secret. Zhong Li repeatedly urged as Song Ying almost subconsciously nodded her agreement. Who on earth are you? The old man was scared. With just one move, Zhong Li had taken half his life. He was absolutely a body integration realm cultivator. A golden core cultivator, Huang Li. Zhong Li introduced himself. You're fooling who? The old man roared in fury. An odd force surged inside him, instantly healing his body, and he turned to run. Zhong Li perceived the peculiar force within the old man and his expression changed. He stopped pretending to be a golden core cultivator, grabbed the old man with his body incorporation, and demanded. What is this power? Where did it come from? How could someone like you who kills at the drop of a hat possess this type of power? You are an elder of the body incorporation sect. The old man recognized Zhong Li's technique as a hallmark of one of the 6 major sects, the body incorporating sect, whose members were renowned for their powerful body incorporation. Where did your power come from? Hey, do you think telling you would spare me my life? The old man knew he was doomed and refused to reveal anything about his power. I hope you won't beg me to kill you later. Zhong Li said with a cruel smile. Pleas for mercy and wailing echoed, chilling Song Ying to the bone just by listening. She dreaded imagining the kind of torture the old man was enduring. Please kill me. The old man was disfigured by Zhong Li's torture. Whatever you want to know I'll tell you, just give me a swift death. The old man could hardly believe that such brutal tortures could exist in the world. What is your power? How did you get it? It's the power of the God Hidden, the followers of the faith. Every true believer of the respected God Hidden can discover the God Hidden power hidden within their body. What sect is this? Zhong Li had never heard of this sect, nor of the respected God Hidden. There were numerous sects in the 9 provinces that worship the immortals of the immortal realm, such as those who worship the Northern Emperor, the Star Lords of Tai Yin and the Sun, and the Yellow-Horned Immortal, amongst many others. Meanwhile, the human emperor was, in essence, also a kind of belief, with the faith power of the imperial palace derived from this. When the ladder to immortality wasn't severed, the power of faith in these immortals could be transmitted to the immortal realm, and the immortals would descend with immortal incantations. After the ladder to immortality disappeared, the connection with the immortal realm was lost, the power of faith could no longer be transmitted, and the immortals stopped descending. Now, these sects that worship the immortals had almost disappeared. I am a disciple of the God Hidden cult. Our sect hierarch taught us that each of us has infinite power within our bodies. We are unable to perceive it due to our limited understanding. Only by having faith in the respected God Hidden and using the human token can we tap into our God Hidden power. What is the human token? It's a human, whether they are good or evil. As long as we kill, we can tap into the God Hidden power. Isn't this the cultivation method of the demonic path? Qin Luan couldn't help but interject. Yuan Wuxing also incessantly nodded. This reminded them of Zhang Yisheng. What demonic path? The power of the demonic path carries resentment, God-hidden power doesn't. The old man glowered and displayed the God-hidden power to Qin Luan. The God-hidden power was golden and radiant, warm, and gentle, different from the cold demonic path as heaven as from earth. Do you know what I call this power? Zhang Li asked solemnly. What? The power of merit. Both Qin Luan and Yuan Wuxing felt a chill running from their feet to their heads. Chapter 76. We are merchants. The power of merit had a myriad of great uses, such as enhancing realms, evading heart demons, comprehending heavenly Tao, shielding against heavenly machine, and so forth. It was a profound power pursued by many cultivators in the past. For 9,000 years since the disappearance of the ladder to immortality, the power of merit also had not appeared in JoJo for 9,000 years. No matter how many feats of great kindness and generosity people accomplished, not a trace of merit power would appear. Gradually, the cultivators forgot about the existence of the power of merit. The force with the most remaining power of merit was the Dream River dynasty, so domineering that they could use bricks of merit gold to build a golden house for the fairies of red dust. However, this was the folly of the Dream River Emperor. When he sobered up, he hurriedly collected the gold bricks and treasured them, storing them carefully in the national treasury. The ancestral teachings were clear that these merit gold bricks could not be used unless it pertained to the survival of the nation. Due to the scarcity of the power of merit, there were few cultivators nowadays who could recognize it. Even the elderly of the divinity transformation stage were convinced that this power originated from their own God-hidden power, rather than any heavenly bestowed merit. The explanation the Tao sect had was that all power of merit was blocked in the immortal realm, unable to descend, but it seemed that this was not the case. The conditions for the descent of the power of merit had changed. Killing people could earn merit. No, that's wrong, he had killed many people himself, just now he had even killed a dragon San Shui, but he did not see any trace of merit power. There should be some other conditions. What is it? Do you have to join this God-hidden cult, or go through some ceremony, or believe in this respected God-hidden that has popped up from nowhere? Zhang Li pondered, asking the old man. Just as the old man opened his mouth, he didn't speak a word before his body suddenly inflated into a sphere, ready to burst at any moment. Zhang Li, quick-eyed and nimble-handed, restrained the old man's body, preventing him from exploding, but could only do so much. He could not return it to its original state, only to maintain its spherical shape. Furthermore, once he released his ban, the old man would still explode. A lost spell. Zhang Li had seen depictions of spells. If some things were thought of or spoken out loud, they would be punished, such as the self-destruct that was before him. 9,000 years had passed, JoJo had been developing continuously, and new legacies had emerged. Naturally, old legacies also disappeared. Spells were one of them. Some said that those who practiced spells were cursed themselves, were born under a solitary star, and so the lineage of a spell was destined to be single and its disappearance was normal. Do not talk or get involved in this matter. Zhang Li sternly warned Qin Luan and the other two. He knew their characters well, they would not speak out of turn, but he couldn't help but warn them. This matter was of great importance. Zhang Li left with the spherical-shaped elder through the air. Bai Hongtu, come out and see if you can unlock this. Zhang Li flew to the Tao sect, called Bai Hongtu out of his cultivation, and the immortal elder of eternal existence and yin-yang heaven seal heard Zhang Li's voice and knew that something had happened, so they also appeared by Zhang Li's side. Unlock what? Unlock the ban. If I unlock it, he's gonna explode. Bai Hongtu, clueless, asked what he was suddenly called out for. Don't you recognize a spell? No, Bai Hongtu confidently replied. I've only seen descriptions of spells, how can I determine this is one? It's called being cautious. This is indeed a spell, and it is the strictly conditioned 6 harmonies sitting spell. The spells of JoJo have been lost. From where did you find this person? The immortal elder of eternal existence, with a great breadth of experience and knowledge, identified the spell cast on the elder. Can it be unlocked? The immortal elder of eternal existence shook his head. I can unlock an ordinary spell, but the conditions for the 6 harmonies sitting spell are strict. Apart from the person who casts the spell, no one can unlock it. What conditions are needed to cast this spell? Firstly, the other party must be completely willing under informed conditions, they cannot be threatened with their life or family, or tempted with treasures. Secondly, the caster's realm must be an entire major realm above the one being cursed. Someone can be spelled even if they are completely willing. Where did you find such a fool? Bai Hongtu was curious. Zhang Li did not answer. The fewer people who knew about this matter, the better. Tian Yin, see who this person has karma with. This person's karma is blocked by some force and it's unclear. I can only see a general idea. This person has never left the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, and I can't know any more specifics. Yin-Yang Heaven Seal had a strong sense of defeat. Since it gained sentient intelligence, its power of karma only took effect when it found its master, and even then, it found a corpse. Tian Yin, you need to work hard. If you don't cultivate properly, maybe one day Zhongli will throw you into the stove. Yin-Yang Heaven Seal secretly made up its mind to first come up with a cultivation method that spiritual treasures could also use. It had been self-refining before it gained sentient intelligence, so it had some understanding in this area. Zhongli knew that it was the power of merit at work, obscuring karma. Even so, Yin-Yang Heaven Seal could still see a general idea, showing that its mastery of the power of karma was quite remarkable. Tianyuan Emperor Dynasty, understood. Zhongli said nothing more. He flew to a distant place, released the elderly man's restraint, and let him explode. Don't dirty the Tao sect. Zhongli visited the Sky Mechanism Tower again, and as soon as he entered, he saw the Zhong Human Emperor in Sky Mechanism Tower, displayed in the hall, which startled him. Zhongli slapped Zhou Yufu's shoulder, as if entrusting him with some task. Zhou Yufu made an expression promising to accomplish the task. Logically speaking, with the powerful memory of the Mahayana stage, especially for recent events, Zhongli should have a clear memory, but he still doubted his own memory. When Zhou Yufu heard that Zhong Human Emperor was here, he hurriedly went downstairs to meet him. Seeing the way the other party's adipose tissue jiggled, Zhongli felt like watching a sow running down the stairs. This time, Zhongli didn't give Zhou Yufu a chance to fill in the blanks, he directly pulled him into a secret room. I'm not here to inspect the Sky Mechanism Tower, I want to buy all the information of the God-Hidden Cult. God-Hidden Cult? Zhou Yufu made a troubled expression, asking for information on the Sky Mechanism Tower's little-known God-Hidden Cult right off the bat, and still saying he's not here to inspect the Sky Mechanism Tower. Zhou Yufu quickly organized the information on the God-Hidden Cult and handed it over to Zhongli. Is that all? Zhongli glanced at the things in his jade pendant, it was pitifully little. That's all. Zhou Yufu honestly answered. We at the Sky Mechanism Tower also don't know much about this sudden LV emerging sect. After we found out about this sect, we sent a few disciples to investigate. They were all pulled into the God-Hidden Cult and became devout believers. From then on, the God-Hidden Cult knew we were investigating them and were on guard ever since. Your disciples all betrayed you, and you didn't think about making a comeback and thoroughly investigating the God-Hidden Cult. Zhong Human Emperor is joking. We are merchants. The disciples are just jumping from one shop to another, where does betrayal come into it? Besides, without a customer paying spirit stones, why should we strive to the utmost to investigate the God-Hidden Cult? Chapter 77. A Dead Man. The God-Hidden Cult emerged 40 to 50 years ago, only leaving traces within the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. It is said that a monk had a dream of the respected God hidden in his sleep, from whom he received the secret of the power of God hiding. Upon waking, this monk founded the God-Hidden Cult, becoming the sect hierarch, recruiting followers, and spreading the method of obtaining the power of God hiding. The God-Hidden Cult believes that there are hidden secrets within the human body that, if discovered, can make the attainment of divinity as easy as common daily tasks. However, due to insufficient knowledge and experience of cultivators, it may be impossible to find one's own hidden secrets. Fortunately, the respected God Hidden has passed down a method, stating that the constant heavenly Tao leaves a line of opportunity for harnessing the power of God hiding using others' life force. This, however, is a heavenly machine, not to be lightly passed on. Non-believers should not know, and the taking of lives is detrimental to universal harmony. Each person is allowed, at most, to kill 1,000 people. This is all the information that Heavenly Secret Pavilion knows about the God-Hidden Cult. The text speaks of the power of God hiding but does not mention the power of merit at all. No surprise there, if they knew that the power of God hiding was the power of merit, Zhongli would not need to ask, as they would already be informing him about this matter. The power of merit is the Heavenly Tao's approval of a cultivator's actions, equating to saying that the Heavenly Tao encourages murder. The implications of this information are far-reaching. Whether it is the Tao sect or the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, both have directed their attention towards the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty. Of course, Zhongli intends to visit, and he even suspects that the secret of the Lord Commanding General that the Dragon Patriarch once spoke about is this God-Hidden Cult. In fact, Zhongli wanted to inquire about the situation with Yu Yin, but considering that she is currently gathering momentum for the Transcendence Tribulation stage, it is not appropriate to disturb her, so he abandoned the idea. At this time, the atmosphere in Emperor Tianyuan Imperial City was somber. Even cultivators who were unconcerned about political affairs had heard that the Tianyuan Empress had failed her attempt at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, and sustained internal injuries. The imperial physicians were helpless. Even the elder from the alchemy peak invited by Dao sect could only shake his head and suggest convalescence to avoid anger. The Tianyuan Empress heeded the advice of the physicians, retreated into the Yangxin Hall for recuperation and left the handling of state affairs to her ministers. The former Tianyuan royal family, sensing a rare opportunity, felt regret by the Empress, arrogance in not purging them. Now was the time to make her regret her arrogance, pull her down from the throne, viciously trample her on the ground, taking their pleasure in her suffering. They exploited every opportunity, liaising with various forces and influential court officials, intent on overthrowing Yu Yin's rule. Even General Che Wu, who was mostly stationed at the border, returned to the court. He stated that there was only small-scale warfare with the Great Zhou dynasty, and there was nothing to fear. However, everyone knew that the Empress did not order General Che Wu to return to the court. This was the decision made by the ministers. No one knew for sure whether this was permitted by the Empress or it was decided by the ministers themselves. A chi cultivator of body integration realm who has killed countless people could influence the impending rebellion. The imperial city, which used to be the most orderly of all the cities in the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty, had changed. After all, the nobles of the dynasty always put on an amicable facade, and never tore off their masks. But now, either the Ministry of Justice was investigating murder cases on the streets, or they were catching culprits, or the responsibilities of the two departments were reversed. Their duties had begun to overlap and create chaos. Zhongli stood in front of the mansion of General Che Wu, surrounded by personnel from the Ministry of Justice and the prefecture interrogating and investigating the murder case. The deceased was named Che Wu, who held the position of a top general. It was initially determined that the time of death was 2 hours ago. Che Wu was killed by someone in a single fatal blow, his soul escaping his body. The perpetrator remained undiscovered, deducing that it was someone Che Wu trusted. Zhongli encountered the old man from the God-hidden cult 2 hours ago. The Ministry of Justice, supporting the previous Tianyuan imperial family, and the prefecture, supporting the Tianyuan Empress, both suspected that it was someone from the other party who killed Che Wu. Although their conversations were filled with testing and probing, they couldn't ascertain anything. Zhongli entered the Che Wu's mansion, silently observing the expression on Che Wu's face, fear, bewilderment, disbelief, and other emotions. Just like the myriad of victims Zhongli had seen, Che Wu's facial expression was quite expressive. He couldn't decipher anything from it, but it didn't matter, because he knew of an individual who was an expert in this field, who could be of assistance. Do you have some time right now? Zhongli arrived at the palace of Great Zhou dynasty, noticing that Gigi was approving memorials on one side and at the same time swallowing a refreshing pill produced by Dao sect. Forget I asked. Zhongli met eyes with Gigi, roughly understanding why Ji could only stay in the divinity transformation stage. Too busy to cultivate. Do you know how many problems will arise by issuing a provisional decree regarding spiritual treasures? The memorials in front of Gigi were nothing but the negative impacts that had arisen after implementing the decree in several trial cities. The officials consolidated them, proposed countermeasures, and then were each rejected by Gigi, writing out parts of the decree that needed to be amended. Say it, what did you come to find me for? Good news, General Che Wu, who's been harassing you Great Zhou dynasty along the border, is dead. Gigi paused. When did this happen? 2 hours ago. So you came all the way here just to tell me this good news? Gigi didn't believe Zhongli had good intentions. Yes, also I want you to help me find out who the murderer is. I've used my eye double vision a lot recently to obtain the best effect for the decree. As you can see, I've almost blinded myself. Furthermore, the decree has a pile of issues. If you're not in a hurry, wait for about 10 days or so, when my eyes have healed, and I'll help you investigate. If you're in a hurry, you can ask Ji Kongkong for help. Zhongli remembered Ji Kongkong, the cute little girl, Gigi's daughter, the 19th princess of Great Zhou. Isn't she just about 7 or 8 years old, and only up to the 3rd level in chi cultivation? Could she have learned time retrospection? Gigi, speaking about his youngest daughter, had a proud look on his face. You wouldn't know this, but my Kongkong was not in human form at birth, but was a little white fish, just like the ancestors recorded in the books. She transformed into a human form when she was 3 years old. Her talent in the Tao of Time surpasses mine, and is on par with our ancestors. If that's the case, Ji Kongkong's future prospects are indeed bright. Before Zhang Li could go to find Ji Kongkong, Ji warned anxiously, "You must protect my daughter. If she loses even a strand of hair, our friendship is over." Before Ji could change his mind, Zhang Li flew to the princess's mansion to find Ji Kongkong. At this time, Ji Kongkong was floating in a pool, holding a book, transforming into a tiny white fish as described in the book, experiencing the Tao of Time. It really is easier to understand in the form of a small white fish, Uncle Zhang. As Ji Kongkong was puzzling over which form to use for cultivation, she saw Zhang Li descend with a beaming smile. When the maid saw the little princess about to transform back into human form, she hurried over with a cloth to shield the view, helping her get dressed. Zhang Li also turned away tactfully. After Ji Kongkong had changed her clothes, she transformed back into the delicate and adorable little princess. Is this a book on learning the Tao of Time from the great Zhou royal family? With Ji Kongkong's permission, Zhang Li picked up the book she was just reading, thinking that he might also be able to learn the Tao of Time. Then he saw what Ji had written on the first page. "Brother Zhang, don't bother. You won't be able to learn this." Ji Kongkong reminded him from the side. "Father has written this sentence in all the books related to the Tao of Time." Chapter 78. Losing one's surname is common. Considering Ji's busy schedule, it would be inhumane to have him both heal and review reports concurrently, so Zhang Li decided to temporarily note it down and settle the accounts in the future. Zhang Li briefly explained the situation to Ji Kongkong, and upon learning she could help, she happily agreed. "How far back can you trace time?" 12 hours, Ji Kongkong proudly asserted. Her father had told her that among the documented abilities in the Ji family, her talent was unequivocally first-rate. She, a mere qi cultivation third stage, could touch the Tao and wield it freely. It was simply unimaginable. Very good, Zhang Li gave a bland comment. This made Ji Kongkong flutter with joy on the inside, not realizing that Zhang Li was actually lamenting how someone else's child at qi cultivation's third stage could trace back 12 hours, yet he couldn't trace back even a second despite being in the Mahayana realm. Zhang Li flew with Ji Kongkong towards Tianyuan Emperor Dynasty, Ji Kongkong's little legs restlessly wiggling around. "Have you ever seen a dead person?" Zhang Li suddenly remembered that she was merely a 7 or 8-year-old and wondered if it was too cruel to have her witness past murder scenes. He wouldn't want her to be scarred mentally. Ji Kongkong faltered for a moment, her mood somewhat downcast. "I have. One of my sisters was jealous of my abilities and wanted to kill me. Mother protected me. I want to work hard to comprehend the Tao of Time, so I can revisit Mother." Zhang Li did not ask about the process or the result. He just tenderly touched Ji Kongkong's small head out of pity. Zhang Li arrived at Tianyuan Emperor City, didn't go directly to the general's mansion but took Ji Kongkong around for fun, visited a tea house for tea and cakes, listened to an inaccurate storytelling of the human emperor, let her play with her gourd. Ji Kongkong was laughing all the way. Seeing Ji Kongkong's better mood, Zhang Li still asked worriedly, "If there is any problem, you don't have to force yourself, I have other ways." Of course, what he meant was to find other people from Zhou's family, but he could not directly say this to Ji Kongkong. Now he kind of regretted bringing Ji Kongkong here. Looking back, it seemed like Ji, wanting to temper his child's mentality, somehow manipulated Zhang Li into helping with it under the pretext of Ji Kongkong assisting him. Seems like Ji was not drained from the government affairs, surprisingly finding the time to scheme against him. "No problem," Ji Kongkong waved her little fists. She arrived at the general's mansion, disappeared in front of Zhang Li, then reappeared panting. The murderer suddenly appeared behind the general. The general couldn't react in time and was directly killed. I couldn't see the murderer's face clearly. All I know is that he went this way and disappeared into the secret realm. Based on what she saw, Ji Kongkong pointed Zhang Li to a place deep in the mountains outside the city. This place, despite being mid-mountain, was wrapped in mist. With naked eye, it was almost impossible to see anything beyond 20 meters, perfect for hiding something. Zhang Li saw a nascent soul cultivator leading a golden core cultivator towards the entrance of the secret realm in the mist. Check if the murderer had come out of the secret realm. Zhang Li asked Ji Kongkong to trace back time. Ji Kongkong quickly provided the answer. In these hours, only people went in, none came out. With the murderer's questionable origins and the God-hidden cult's secrecy, Zhang Li didn't want to accidentally alert the murderer and lose this lead. "May I know if you two are entering your organization from here?" Zhang Li, holding on to Ji Kong Kong, politely asked the two cultivators. The golden core cultivator showed caution. The nascent soul cultivator signaled him not to worry. Recognizing that Zhang Li, too, was a nascent soul stage, he courteously replied, "Fellow Taoist, there must be some confusion. Given the chaos in the imperial city, we two brothers just want to stay away from the city and avoid risks." "What organization?" "Fellow Taoist, why don't you first take a look at this?" A golden radiance came out from Zhang Li's fingertip. It was peaceful, dreamy, and brought tranquility. This was the power of merit he separated from the old man. The nascent soul cultivator's face changed drastically. He quickly covered Zhang Li's hand, said a mantra to open the secret realm, and pulled Zhang Li, Ji Kong Kong, and the golden core cultivator into the secret realm. "Fellow Taoist, you're careless. How can the God-hidden power be shown off so casually?" In the secret realm, the nascent soul cultivator reproached Zhang Li. Since Zhang Li could have God-hidden power, it indicated that he knew some situations in the cult. Regardless of friend or foe, a test by the cult's high-level figures would clarify everything. He was very confident in the cult's methods. Under the gaze of the respected God-hidden statue, he wasn't worried about what Zhang Li could stir up. "In the urgent situation at that time, my family's ancestor gave me hurried instructions, which didn't give me a clear understanding. I hope fellow Taoist can forgive." Zhang Li explained. "My sister and I are descendants of Dragon family of Longyan City. I am Dragon Li, and this is my sister Dragon Kong Kong." Zhang Li's tone showed anger. "I don't know where that damn city lord got his information from, knowing that the ancestor was healing Dragon San Shui and couldn't be disturbed during this period. He seized the opportunity to covertly injure the ancestor. The ancestor had no alternative but to fight with his injuries, and finally lost the game by a narrow margin. My sister and I are the last descendants of the Dragon family. Before his death, our ancestor told us to go to the highest mountain near the Emperor dynasty. On the mountainside, there is a place with mist all around. If we could find human traces on the south side of the mountain, it would be the people of the cult. The ancestor also gave me this golden light and said as long as I show it to the members of the organization, they would understand everything." Zhang Li's words mixed 9 parts lie with 1 part truth, making the nascent soul cultivator doubtful. He had only heard that the head of Longyan City was killed, and he knew the head did not join their cult. However, their cult's Priest Li had been in contact and often sent human embryos to Priest Li. Could it be that Priest Li revealed the cult's location to the old dragon head? Unfortunately, Priest Li had gone out and didn't know when he would return. Ji Kong Kong blinked, not saying anything. She remembered the stories her father told her, saying that going out with Zhang Li might result in her losing her last name. She didn't need to worry, it was a common occurrence. "May I ask what this power is? Why can't I absorb it?" Zhang Li inquired, but the nascent soul cultivator didn't answer him. "Since you've arrived at this secret realm, you can only join our cult. It happens to make up for 10 people, and we can conduct the initiation ceremony. I can preside over it later. You can call me True Person Feng. My name is Cheng Ziqi." The golden core cultivator introduced himself, although no one really cared about his name. Zhang Li scanned the whole secret realm with his divine sense, and found that the highest stage here was only the divinity transformation stage. The murderer definitely wasn't among these people. How could a cultivator at the divinity transformation stage possibly kill a body integration realm who had experienced battle all year round? But there was only one exit in the secret realm. Where could the murderer go? Zhang Li was confident that no one could disguise themselves under his divine sense unless they were an immortal. Since he couldn't find the murderer, he would first see what this initiation ceremony was. Zhang Li gave Ji Kong Kong the gourd, asking it to be smart and protect her. Chapter 79, Methods of Acquiring Merit Power. Everyone present today comes from various regions of the 9 provinces, some of you are as young as 8. Regardless of whether you are here by luck or intention, it doesn't matter. Since you've come into contact with the God-hidden cult, you only have one option, to join us. Master Feng left the implication of the alternative unspoken: if you don't join, you'll die. Inside a secluded room, 10 individuals listened as Master Feng spoke about the origins of God-hidden cult and the respected God-hidden. His narrative was mostly in line with the information provided by the Sky Mechanism Tower, though Master Feng refrained from mentioning any killings. Some of you may remain skeptical about the power of God-hidden, dismissing it as merely a fanciful tale. Allow me to demonstrate for you. Master Feng slapped his chest and shattered his nascent soul, startling 8 of the individuals present. The nascent soul is evolved from a golden core. Destroying it does not regress to the golden core stage but instead, drops directly to the foundation establishment stage. Such a drastic demonstration, just to deliver teachings. The crowd's prior knowledge about God-hidden cult was relatively limited, having been brought in by cultists after a series of subtle hints and scrutiny. They were under the impression that joining the God-hidden cult would gain them a mystical power known as the power of God-hidden, which was said to improve one's cultivation, ward off heart demons, heal the body, among countless other astonishing benefits. Yet they had not actually witnessed if these claims were true or false. Zhang Li and Ji Kongkong remained expressionless. The destruction of a nascent soul was a trivial matter. The power of God hidden from within Master Feng began to flow out, repairing his shattered nascent soul. In only a few breaths, it was restored to its former completeness. The 8 people present had never witnessed such a spectacle. Everyone knew that once the nascent soul shattered, one could only cure it by purchasing a revival return pill from the Tao sect at a great cost, but nobody had ever seen it healed by such power. The power of God hidden truly existed. More than half of the crowd was convinced, although a few remained dubious. Master Feng paid them no mind and began to recite the story of moksha's suffering that the sect hierarch had obtained from his dreams. The scripture was complex and obscure, describing the life of the respected God hidden. For some reason, it reminded Zhang Li of Zhang Konggu. He imagined Zhang Konggu hearing the scripture and saying, "What the hell is this gibberish?" More learned than Zhang Konggu, Zhang Li translated the scripture. Respected God hidden was born in the immortal realm, eternally sacred, omniscient, and powerful. In his eyes, both immortals and mortals were ignorant, now ever, mortals were SNGNT1Y more so. Among TNE Inamera D1E Newmans, Nay selected a delegate to reveal the secret of God hidden, hoping that someone would ascend to stand with him, alleviating his boredom, and engaging him in discourse. Zhang Li's opinion was that the scripture was still too conservative. As a religious belief, unless it declares that its deity existed before heavenly Tao, it wouldn't qualify as a religious belief. The story of moksha's suffering was similar to the texts of Buddhism and Confucianism. Continually reciting it might deepen the listeners' faith in the religion, or if used improperly, brainwash them. Master Feng did not use it to brainwash anyone but instead focused on enhancing their faith. Believers in respected God hidden became even more devout, those who were skeptical remained skeptical. Zhang Li, who didn't believe a word, was unchanged after hearing it. Zhang Li used his divine sense to observe Ji Kongkong, discovering that Ji Kongkong had placed a silent tribulation around him. Inside the radius of the silent tribulation, all sounds disappeared, therefore Ji Kongkong was not affected by the recitation of the story of moksha's suffering. The silent tribulation was originally a part of heavenly tribulation, specifically used to deal with those with powerful divine abilities such as speaking your fate, or manifestation of thoughts. Inside the silent tribulation, neither speaking nor inner monologues work, and it works together with thunder tribulation to ensure that these cultivators take their punishments dutifully. Zhang Li was impressed by this unique application of silent tribulation he hadn't considered before. After reciting the scripture, Master Feng led everyone to a grandly decorated bronze hall. Despite numerous lit red candles, the overall ambiance remained dim. The supporting copper columns were engraved with various grotesque creatures that Zhang Li had never seen before. Everything in the hall was disproportionately large, including the entrance, appearing as if they were not meant for humans. At the end of the hall stood a towering statue of an immortal made of human bones. With its gender-neutral facial features, solemn closed eyes, and benevolent posturing, it conveyed infinite compassion. However, being made of human bones, it still felt wildly incongruent. This was a statue of the respected God hidden. Besides Master Feng, Zhang Li, and his group, some cult members and 10 struggling, bound individuals were also present. Zhang Li noted that the cult members were all of the divinity transformation stage and presumably held high ranks. They might be present to supervise the initiation ceremony. Earlier was the first ceremony, the sermon. Now comes the second ceremony, the test of sincerity. Instead of introducing the cult members standing to the side, Master Feng pointed towards the struggling individuals on the floor. Each of you must kill one person. The results will determine whether you pass the second ceremony. Cheng Ziqi, who had entered with Zhang Li, hesitated before asking, "Do we really have to kill these innocent people? Isn't this a bit?" He couldn't bring himself to complete the phrase, similar to demonic cultivation. The others nodded in agreement. They had never heard about the necessity of killing. What happened to the promised power of respected God hidden which encourages followers to tap into the power of God hidden? Master Feng had anticipated this question and explained, these people are criminals sentenced to death extracted from the Tianyuan Emperor dynasty's prison. They're destined to die. Right now, we're simply assigning them a more valuable death. With Master Feng's confirmation, one man stepped forward, knife in hand, decisively stabbed one of the tied-up individuals. But nothing happened. Does this mean I've passed? Asked the man, obviously an experienced killer given his clean and efficient execution. He expressed concern about his result. Master Feng asked, don't you believe in the mighty respected God hidden? The man put on a superficially sincere expression, answering, of course I do. Master Feng disappointedly shook his head, killing the man without giving him the chance to explain. Without true belief in the respected God hidden, without devoting yourself to the respected God hidden, the power of God hidden will not be born. Upon initiation, the followers would learn a mantra to conceal the power of God hidden. But now, Master Feng didn't conceal anything, showing the process of obtaining power of God hidden to everyone present. After Master Feng killed the man, a golden force of unknown origin appeared and enveloped him, making him seem like a person overflowing with countless virtues, commanding unconditional respect and worship. This is the power of God hidden. This power arrived abruptly but vanished just as quickly, entering Master Feng's body and becoming undetectable. Zhang Li tensed. This was his first time witnessing the process of obtaining the power of virtues. Chapter 80. The Venerable is the only one. Do you see? The power of God hidden emerges from within your body, returns to your body, and through cyclical growth, it can be accumulated and strengthened for your own use. The Federation's leader demonstrated to everyone the correct way to obtain God hidden power. To everyone else, God hidden power did indeed originate from within their bodies, but through Zhang Li's eyes, it was the power of merit born from the void, attaching itself to the Feng leader, and finally entering the Feng leader's body to become his own power. This was exactly the process of the arrival of merit power as recorded in the classics. However, this process was not visible to an ordinary cultivator. Only the powerful ones at the Transcendence Tribulation stage who have come into contact with the Tao of Immortality could see a glimpse of it. Moreover, the power of merit cannot be used by others as it was specialized. No wonder the followers of the God hidden cult firmly believed that this power originated from within, the power of the God hidden. They could only see the final outcome. Upon seeing this, someone panicked, his face turned pale, and he turned to run. He had committed many murders and offenses outside, offending many people. He came here only because he heard that this was a mysterious and powerful organization and wanted to join them for protection. As for the respected God hidden, he scoffed at the idea. Who would have thought that this organization would identify their faith in such an unbelievable way? He considered himself amongst the divinity transformation cultivators who were skilled in escape techniques, and peers at the same realm would have no chance of stopping him. Unexpectedly, several people within the sect suddenly intercepted him. The divinity transformation cultivator who used the power of God hidden was quickly caught and killed by someone skilled in the technique of escape, all while divvying up the power of God hidden amongst themselves. With two people swiftly killed, everyone hesitated and didn't dare to step forward. Only when the Federation's leader was about to randomly pick someone thought they believed in the respected God hidden, and there would be no problem. He killed someone, but still did not receive the power of God hidden. One believe in the existence of the respected God hidden. The person hastily declared. Merely believing in the existence of the respected God hidden is not enough. You also need to believe that the respected God hidden is the only one. Your faith cannot have any flaws. The leader of the organization regretfully shook his head, and then patted the person on the shoulder. However, there's no need to worry. The God hidden cult is not a demon cult that is beyond redemption, seeing people and killing them. We believe that you need some time to adjust. You will be a peripheral member for a while. This is a test from the respected God hidden to you, okay? Okay. The Federation's leader smiled gently. You wait on the side for the third stage of the ceremony. Zhang Li saw that the people standing by the sect were gathering sound into a line and transmitted it to the Federation's leader, telling him who to kill and who to keep. Gathering sound into a line in front of Zhang Li was like loudly shouting. He could hear it clearly. Little Feng, kill this one. Little Feng, keep this one. These divinity transformation rites had wide knowledge and experience, and they could tell at a glance who was skeptical about the respected God hidden and who totally did not believe. After that, 4 more people tried, but none had a reaction. However, all of them's belief in the respected God hidden was not firm and needed improvement, so they were classified as peripheral members. The first stage of the ceremony was quite useful after all. Next, it was Cheng Ziqi's turn, who came in with Zhang Li. Before the execution, he asked, "Leader, what do you mean by considering that the respected one is the only one?" The Federation's leader put his hands together, paid his respects to the towering statue of the respected God hidden, then replied, "Sleeping, eating, getting married, making money, practicing, everything revolves around the respected God hidden. Everything is a manifestation of the will of the respected God hidden. The respected one is your everything. So even now, as you preside over the initiation ceremony, it's also the respected God hidden's will. Everything is a manifestation of the respected God hidden's will." Zhang Li frowned slightly. The criteria for joining the God hidden cult were high, requiring this level of spiritual awakening. Even if he truly believed in the existence of such a figure as the respected God hidden, it is impossible to think that everything he does revolves around the respected God hidden. Moreover, why must gaining the power of merit pass through this God hidden? Who is this immortal figure? Zhang Li had a bold guess that even he didn't want to believe. Cheng Ziqi seemed to understand something, decisively killed a man, and he was enveloped in a golden glow. He was the first among the group to acquire the power of the God hidden. A few divinity transformation priests revealed a smile. It seemed that this time they had a promising seed. Following Cheng Ziqi, it was Zhang Li's turn. The divinity transformation rites could all see that this Dragon Li fellow did not believe in the respected God hidden at all, not even attempting to pretend. Good, he has killed, now take action. Where did he get the power of God hidden from? For the first time, several priests doubted their own vision. This Dragon Li got the power of God hidden after killing someone. Of course, Zhang Li had the power of merit, and he stripped quite a lot from the elder who had exploded into a ball. Although it couldn't be used, it was no problem just to fill the numbers. Then what about this little girl? She was drawing and turning rope tricks and even sleeping during the first ceremony. They didn't believe that Dragon Kongkong's faith in the respected God hidden was the same as their own. The priests widened their eyes, scanned with divine sense, insisting on seeing that Dragon Kongkong did not receive the power of merit after killing. They just couldn't believe they would mistake it twice. Then they watched as the power of God hidden emerged, enveloping Dragon Kongkong. "You have passed." The Federation's leader looked at Dragon Kongkong conflicted. Dragon Kongkong was a bit puzzled. She hadn't even held her knife properly, so how could she have passed? Was it because she looked good? This is self-created illusionary tribulation, which can make the person experiencing tribulation fall into illusion at will. The Rui Gourd requested reward, gathering sound into a line. I made them fall into the illusion and see you gaining the power of merit. What a powerful gourd. Dragon Kongkong opened her small mouth slightly, patting the purple Rui Gourd. Let me tell you, as long as you follow me, you can go anywhere in this world and do whatever you want. Are you as powerful as Zhang, the human emperor? Dragon Kongkong's eyes were gleaming. Her greatest wish was to become as powerful as Zhang Li. Do you guess why I'm not by my master's side now, but here? The Federation's leader asked this one true believer, 5 temporary believers, and 2 fake believers to move forward a few steps under the gaze of the statue of the respected God hidden. He took out 8 bowls filled with some kind of blood. Now it's the 3rd ceremony, and also the last one, swearing by water. This is holy water granted to our sect hierarch by the respected God hidden, blessed by the respected one. It contains the power to silence and constrain, and after drinking this water, none of you will be able to reveal any information about our cult by any means. Quote. Cheng Ziqi, Dragon Li, Dragon Kongkong, your faith in the respected one is clear to all, and you are qualified to become missionaries. The Federation's leader singled out 3 bowls. The water in these 3 bowls is different. After drinking it, some information about our sect can be revealed. Do the 3 of you have any questions? Zhang Li showed a friendly smile and raised his hand to ask. I have no other questions, I just want to ask where our sect hierarch is.